are grown old. We carry the echoes of battles before, blades in our hands, but fate keeps the score. Who pulls the strings? Who holds the key? The gods are watching the old school three. We're lost in the echoes, caught in the tide. Worlds keep on shifting, but we're still inside. Three brave and lost heroes, torn in two, fighting for answers they never knew. Rift wardens whisper, the black fire burns. Prophecies written in lessons unlearned. Mythic born power from lives we once led. But why do we rise when we should be dead? We dance in the shadows, fate calls our name. Three gods are playing their infinite game. Who holds the strings? Who holds the key? The gods are watching the old school three. We're lost in the echoes, caught in the tide. Worlds keep on shifting, but we're still inside. Three brave and lost heroes, torn in two, fighting for answers they never knew. We've seen these faces, we've walked these roads, but time resets and the cycle goes. Are we the players, or are we the pawns? Trapped in the story, but still moving on. We're lost in the echoes, caught in the tide, bound to the wheel, but we stand with pride. Three brave and lost heroes, torn in two. We'll break the cycle, or see it renewed.
I bet I have sound.
You do have sound. Of course that would happen. Welcome on in, everybody. Thank you for being here. Glad to see you all. Today is the Old School 3 campaign. Wednesday is always tabletop role-playing. We do a lot of Pathfinder First Edition here, but we have done D&D, Call of Cthulhu, not Dragon Age, but Dragon. Brian, what is it called?
Dragonbane.
Dragonbane, that's the name of the game. Mechanical Corners, the list goes on and on. We've done so many games, so welcome on in, everybody. Of course, who do we got first? We got first Zine, officially first. Karina, unofficially first. Welcome on in, everybody. Happy, hello, Happy. Thank you for being here. Matrix is in here. We got, I know we saw Maxis is in here. Matrix is in here. Welcome, Archie, first time chatter. Thank you for the follow. If you guys like tabletop role playing, actual play RPGs, you can always come here Wednesday evenings every week for some tabletop role playing. We have a couple different campaigns going. We have a bunch of one-offs that happen. We have special guests that come and go. We do special things. So welcome on in. I don't really like the toilet much. That's why I come across no only messages. No, I only miss messing. Oh, only messing. Sorry. I thought you're like OnlyFans, but for toilets or something. But welcome on in. What's that?
Only flushes?
Only flushes. That's right. Join the Only Flushes page. Of course, we do have the Tangia Dungeons running in the background. There is no sound on it, so you have to visually keep your eye on the chat, keep your eye on the screen for the dungeon to pop up there where it's at right now. You can see it in the in that little middle window there where our text is. This particular campaign, if you listen, I'm down to start and only flushes, right? Sometimes it's satisfying to know that that stuff's going down. Especially after a particularly long one, but we're not going to go into detail with that. The old school
rise back up.
Right, watch it rise. Rise, my poop monster, rise. Roll an ish. With that being said, Old School 3, this campaign is our most chat interactive. We take a lot more time like responding to chat and reading chat in this one. We have some fun, unique channel points that you can use to interact with the stream, whether or not they take place. Like, if we're not in combat, you don't need to heal anyone. So there may be some more in the works. I do want to talk to these two about some other ideas that I had about them, and maybe I'll mention one right now. Brian, Matt, how do you think about a redeem that strokes our creativity and gives us the ability to tell individual stories? And this redeem would be a flashback redeem. And the flashback, you as whoever they redeem the flashback for, will then flash back to one of the other characters where you've played yourself and kind of tell a short little thing about something that you guys role played through with that character, a story or a part of that, that may or may not have anything to do with the situation at hand.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think it would be cool as long as it fits into what we're doing.
Well,
like
that's up to you, the person telling the story, that it fits into what we're doing, right?
Well, I guess that's true.
Like, you come up with you try and remember a time that fits in to whatever the situation is. And if you can't think of one, then it's, it might just be secondarily adjacent, or maybe it's a memory for one of the other characters that character saw or something as well. So, I mean, it's an idea. It's a concept I had, but I was like, this would be a cool redeem to also continue to emphasize that these characters have been played in multiple other systems, have memories of all of the other characters and all of the other systems that they've played in the past, and how that directly ties in to this campaign. So, if a character had been brutally murdered or burned alive, they remember that sensation. Like, they experienced it. Like, these aren't separate characters. These are the same characters as those. And so, that being said, that's what influences this campaign. Also, for those watching that are new here, we get mythic points. Mythic points are a special power above and beyond their normal characters. Our mythic power comes from those past lives, those other beings, the magic that flows from the history that is. These are the only characters that have the memories of the others. There's something special about this group. They don't understand why. They're not sure why they can remember what happened with all of the others, but the other ones don't remember each other. There's no tie. And they've even found out about each other. Some of the characters have met each other, but they don't have their memories. These characters have all those memories, retain all of those memories, and the group is unsure why. If you listen or watch the intro song, it is very telling to the overall story of the campaign. So, with that being said, hello, Roddy Mama. Thank you for the lyric. Roddy Mama, I know, has some Tabor Tuesday. Is that today? Isn't today Wednesday? I think Roddy had a game tonight. Maybe it's not tonight. So, at any rate,
It is Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. I thought maybe it was last night. I know last night they had Tabor, and she had a headache last night. It's but yeah, she posted it's Tabor's Day instead of Wednesday. Maybe it's Tabor Wednesday. Tabor Wednesday. I always pronounce it wrong because it reads differently than the thing. But at any rate, where the party last left off, they approached the city of Carrion Hill. As you see on the screen, I have just read the rules. I have issues sometimes with caps locks, so I use my Steam Deck and sometimes don't realize sometimes cap locks are on, so I would like to apologize in that case. Good to know. I may call it out, like if you type something all in caps, I'll be like, why are you yelling at me? But I really don't care. If you type in caps locks, No biggie. I understand. Just remind me, because I have the memory of a goldfish, which the alert isn't on this channel, on this page, but when we're doing video games, there's a redeem for it. So you guys came into the town of Carrion Hill, not really knowing what you were getting yourselves into. You do know that there was this a friend of a person that you might have met once that is part of the Pathfinders, kind of a key element. They chatted with you. You know, you've talked with them before. They're kind of a big deal in the fact that they fought in the Crusades. They helped fight with world wounds, and they're kind of a big world player, and they needed your help here in town. So you came to Carrion Hill to meet with them. You ended up finding the facility known as the Heartland Warriors, which is an Iomedean military facility, and you got a full tour, a full-blooded tour. You got to meet so many cool little characters, NPCs, merchants, crafters, introduced to many of them, and kind of got a rundown of how that works. You didn't get so much a tour of Carrion Hill, although Brian did take a tour of Carrion Hill and kind of got an idea for it, and may or may not have gotten a tattoo while he was there, which if you flush that out, let me know what you ended up getting. And you guys eventually ended up meeting with the mayor, Mayor Sandra Heggry. Now, the mayor is the daughter of the former mayor, who was promoted to count. He was given a boost in his noble status, and he became the count of the county Versex. After the previous count, who had no heirs, died and disappeared mysteriously after it was found out that the former count embezzled more money than the county had, essentially. That not being part of the story, the mayor's daughter is getting married. However, because of her high profile, because of her father's high profile, because of the situation the county is in, because of the way the city is, and because of the profile of her husband to be, this is standing to be one of the largest weddings politically in Ustalavic history, because of the international presence of well-known kings, queens, princesses, heroes, merchants, and the like. Some of the most powerful people in the world will be at this wedding. And so it means a lot, not just to the couple getting wed, but to also the city, but to also the county of Versex, and in turn, the country of Ustalav. Her problem is the last time a large profile wedding was taking place was that a large dragon showed up and leveled a section of the city, including this very, what used to be in the location of this fortress, which used to be an asylum that was turned into a military facility, got destroyed, thus rebuilt this facility. The player's job is to make sure that the adjacent Ustalavic nobles not only attend the wedding, but attend the wedding on good behavior. Not all of them are necessarily the best people in the world, but they were told that, hey, if you're a paladin, we're not going to ask you to step outside your boundaries. You do what you can, but you do know that some of these people might not necessarily be good people. Some people might also be good people and pretend to be bad. Some people may pretend to be bad and be good people. You don't really know. But your goal is to get some of these adjacent nobles to come to the wedding and play nice. They can't get their friends to do it because their friends are more of the punch first, ask questions later sort of people. Or they're intrinsically tied to the political turmoil of something that could go wrong. As outsiders, who also have somewhat of a reputation, as outsiders who have the task for getting stuff done, as outsiders who there's something odd and different about you all, you've been tasked to take on this job on behalf of the Lady Mayor. The city of Carrion Hill is very large. Again, as a reminder on the map here, I'm going to pull this to the front. This, move layer. Nope, move to front. Here we go. This is the city of Caramaga. This is the relative size of the city Caramaga to the map of Carrion Hill. This is how large Carrion Hill is. It's just the way it is drawn doesn't do it justice. So when you look at the map of Caramaga, which looks right as far as buildings and streets and all of that go, that is the relative size difference between that and Carrion Hill. However, keep in mind that Carrion Hill also has a lot of it's built upon layers of itself. So there are layers, there are underground roads, there are streets, there are forgotten caves that are blocked off. It is a winding, gothic, creepy city as well. So, with that being said, we join our party. I'm not going to move the map, but we join our party at the Heartland Warrior compound, where they have had their meeting with the lady Sandra Heggry, who has excused herself and said that if you need to speak to her, she will be at the Capitol, the new Capitol building that is here in town. Because a new count was made, the new capital is no longer Thrushmore, it is now Carrion Hill. In Versex, the capital of the county, not the capital of the country. It is now no longer in Thrushmore, it is going to be here in Carrion Hill. For various reasons, including the fact that the new count has made his home here for many years.
Cool.
So you enjoy the evening. I know you guys had relaxed. Some of you spent some time going to the town, maybe chatted with each other, got some food. Nick spent some time in the kitchen. Matt, you spent some time with some of the Iomedeans. We will start with you, Matt, who runs across a priest. You actually run across a Iomedean, honest-to-God cleric. You haven't seen, because you've been looking for an Iomedean cleric for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
You've talked to a couple people that may be paladins, very devout worshipers, but this is your first actual honest-to-God cleric that you run across. And you see him, and he looks like a cleric. He doesn't have armor, but he definitely, he's got Iomedean robes, a necklace. He's got a very long beard. He's got a sash. He's got riding boots, and he does have a long sword strapped to his hilt. But it looks functional, but it looks just as much ornamental as anything else.
Okay. Yeah, I'll use whatever honorific is normally used between the Iomedans. I don't know if they go by priest or minister or whatever.
I think it changes based on the church itself, like where it's at and kind of the thing. So for this, I believe he just, well, you don't know. You can ask him.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just walk up and be like, excuse me, you, if I'm not mistaken, are a...
And you actually see him upstairs. I am going to move the map. I'm going to move you guys to here. Just because it does make a lot of sense. You actually see him, because you guys are staying upstairs. Here, you actually see him. Why does it say that it's locked out? Okay, so there we go. This is what he looks like.
Okay. So definitely an old-timer.
Yes.
Old-timer.
And he is literally looking over. He is in the upstairs looking over the balcony into the chamber below, which the chamber below is like the main gathering hall area.
Am I upstairs or was I downstairs?
You are up. You are upstairs because you guys are just you had just gotten up. You got breakfast served to you. You guys hung out a little bit in the front foyer over here. in the upper right hand corner, you see that there's couches and stuff on a little hallway that is up there. And you saw him from the other side as you guys were chatting. Like, he caught your corner, and Nick's like, I got to go take care of the cat. And Brian wanted to do something else. We'll find out whatever Brian wanted to do here in a bit. And and you had seen the priest, and you're like, that guy looks like a priest, like straight up priest.
Awesome. I would like to go up and introduce myself.
Okay.
Be like, I noticed that you are some type of holy person for Iomade, at least based on your dress and like I point to his holy symbol and the sword and stuff like that.
He nods. You can feel almost an aura on him, like yeah, he seems very like holy, good. You get a good feel off of him. He doesn't necessarily have like a paladin's aura, but it's kind of that like non-magical aura that a person has. You can kind of feel that.
Okay, cool. I am new compared to you. I'm just assuming because he's, an old dude.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even very old dude. New to the faith of Iomade, and I've been trying to find one of her followers that might know a more, how should I put it, dedicated a way to show their belief in her.
He nods.
Someone that may be able to begin teaching me how to better reach out to her during my morning prayers, aka trying to find.
Usually you pay double for that kind of action, Cotton.
Teach me deific obedience.
Yes.
That's someone that I can train to be able to learn that feat.
He nods to you. He goes, I have known a few of the overly devoutly pledged. And he goes, and many here call me Chaplain. I was once Father Muldain. Chaplain Muldain works. I'm indifferent as long as you regard me with my station. I am the Council of Faith amongst the Brotherhood. And he goes, and he motions, meaning like the mercenary organization. He's kind of their like religious go-to person. Awesome. He goes, I served with Riley in the Crusades as his chaplain. And his group as well. And I left before he did, and he joined the Pathfinders, and he brought me on with them. And I have continued to follow him.
Well, that is good to hear that your faith has shown you through the Crusades, as harrowing as they were. Do you, you said you're kind of like the chaplain for the Brotherhood. Do you hold service certain times that I might be able to join while I'm here in town?
I do hold a small service outside. I don't... Battle isn't fought in chapels. Battle isn't fought in churches. war and peace are done in tents. I have a tent outside of Carrion Hill, and many make the long trek on foot to come there, as to he goes, when you're at war, you march. You spend more time on foot than you do on battle. Going from here to the outside of Carrion Hill is a small price to pay for the church service, and I feel that it does much good for the soul and the spirit of an Iomedean worshiper to remember that. Especially the fact that Iomede once herself was mortal and had to march long and far as well.
That makes sense.
He goes, please, sit down. And he motions over to like a pillow off to the side here, or a couple little chairs. And he like pulls up a chair. He pulls up this chair over next to you.
Yep. Yeah, I'll sit down on the pillows.
He goes, have you started taking the Paladin Code? Or
Yes.
are you outside of the Paladin Order, looking to be
No,
of faithful?
I am a member of the knighthood, the Paladins of the Inheritors. I have researched the code, and am now looking more for a way to show my obedience to her teachings.
He nods. He's like, I know of these obediences. They are more difficult than the code themselves.
Most are, yes.
And you know that there are different paths by which to take.
That I do. However, I have not been able to fully research all of the options that the obedience unlocks.
He goes, there is no research that can be done. You can only be taught. And even then, it is something that cannot be taught, but learned through spiritual faith. Perhaps when you attend, you might see the light. Perhaps you need multiple attentions.
Perhaps. When is your service? Or the next one, at least.
We will have one at dusk, and we usually do one at dawn. It's the military in me to do it at those times. It has nothing to do with the religious factor.
Well, being one of the sun deities, I'm sure her rising or falling also make perfectly good times to offer up prayers to her.
He nods.
In what direction out of town is your tent, or is it easy to see once I'm out of the gates?
You may have passed it on the way into town if you came in via the south gate.
Is that the gate we
It
came
is
in
the
on?
south gate, and you do remember
Okay.
seeing it looked like a abandoned military tent is what it looked like a piece of crap little abandoned tent.
Ah, yes, I think I remember seeing it. I will be there at sundown.
He nods. He's like, I will see you then. Unless, of course, you have other questions.
I think for now, all my questions are stated.
He nods.
I am willing to see the power of faith hopefully open up before me in these next handful of prayer sessions.
Matt, what are you carrying on you for gear right now, currently?
I would have my armor. It's glamored, so it's probably just looking like normal clothes. I would have my shield, my sword, my holy symbol, and my Pathfinder sign, or
Do you only
Wayfinder.
carry like one of each of those items? Do you have multiple weapons, multiple swords, multiple
I
shields?
have my long sword and my short sword would be on me.
Okay. Hello, Sand Spider. Welcome on in.
And I don't have my crossbow because I left that with the people that were going to work on it.
Mm-hmm. He kind of glances down at you. And he goes, "What weapon do you wield? You have a few on you."
Depends on what happens. The longsword for most combats. However, I have a tendency of being grappled by my opponents, at which case the short sword comes in handy to be able to strike at them while they are trying to squeeze the life out of me.
He smirks at you and he goes, "Knowing," he goes, "your answer is one for you to think upon. The details are sometimes not what's important. And when you can answer that question for me, then perhaps you will know your obedience."
Don't think of those words.
He nods. "Best of luck to you. We will see you this evening."
Yes.
And he goes back over to where he was. And he stands there. And he looks out over the floor below. And you feel like he is doing some sort of ritualistic prayer. It takes him about 15 to 20 minutes. And he does that. He walks up to here, into the other room. He makes a circle, and he walks back. And he does that about 3 or 4 times during his whatever it is he's doing.
Does it look like he's like actually casting something like a hallow or like a spell that has a long effing casting time?
Do you have like a detect magic?
I have it, but I do not have it permanency'd.
Then unless you cast it and use it while he's doing it, or you can just make a straight up spellcraft.
I will just make a straight up spellcraft. Mm. 27.
You don't think he's casting anything.
Okay.
Like, there are very few spells that take a 20-minute casting cost, unless it's really powerful, and he doesn't come across as that powerful. Like, he's knowledgeable, and you can tell that he's been in war, but he is not that powerful of a cleric.
Yeah.
But he has seen a lot of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then he eventually turns and just walks off.
Good.
And disappears. Brian, what do you do for the morning? I gave you a little hint that I was going to come to you on that right at the beginning there, so figured you'd have some plenty of time to think of stuff.
Yeah, I'm actually, how early in the morning? Like,
It's up to you. If you want to get up super early, you can get up super early. If you sleep in, you sleep in.
well, I was gonna maybe take a look at going to the target range and practicing a little bit just to kind of, but at the same point, I don't want to start going kablooey at early in the morning because that just seems rude. So,
You know that you are the only guests in the facility. Everybody else is in the military, essentially, or at least
Right.
some sort. Like most of the people, if you get up in the morning, as long as you're not getting up at 4 a.m., which it'll be too dark to shoot anyhow.
true for some, but yeah, no, I hear you. Okay, well then I'll maybe go for I'll maybe fly around for a little bit. Maybe go for a kind of a morning flight.
All right. Go ahead. So you go out, you take off. Where do you leave from? Do you leave straight from the facility?
Yeah, I'd just leave from the.
You go ahead and make that fly check as you fly overhead, and you remember how far up off of the large lake that you were on these
Right.
giant cliff faces.
16.
As you come over and you realize the wind buffets up from below violently.
I got a 29.
You choosing to stick with that.
Yes. Yes, I will stick with that. I mean, 29 is a pretty good roll.
It is a very good roll. So the wing buffets you and you lose control.
Okay.
A large dragon has a difficult time. A huge or gargantuan dragon was able to make it across to smash this building. They have since decided to shape the mountainside to increase the wind velocity coming up from below in order
Okay.
to further deter flying issues, whether it's flying devices with ballistas or cannonballs or dragons. Now, if that dragon decided to come back here, it would have no problem flying right through this stuff. However, you're an itty bitty man. The DC was a 30.
Okay.
Very difficult. Because we're looking at, the level of characters that kind of run this area that really wanted to stave off things like that dragon that ruined the last wedding was very important. Now, you're not going to take damage. You don't take fall damage. You rolled good enough to not fall to your death. But you struggled to get back to a safe place where you can glide and land somewhere and come around and walk around the town to get back. It's a lot of falling, shifting back and forth. If you were trying to get to the facility, you probably wouldn't have been able to do it. However,
Okay.
because you were leaving out into the open, you could struggle to get yourself at least to a safe spot and glide around. But you really can't really feel safe flying around the facility unless you stay above the hard land.
Well, okay. Well, how high does this breeze or whatever shoot up?
You're looking at like a 20-story building. It's a cliffside. And this is jutting over one of the, like, it is a tower of building. Like,
Okay.
honestly,
so-
the stupidest part about this whole infrastructure is a dragon of that size. All they had to do is take out the bottom part of the mountain that holds the whole thing up. And I know I'm
okay,
giving
so
Matt
from where
ammunition
the
on
fortress
us,
is, it's
but
about 20 stories up.
yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I guess I'll try to. Truthfully, I'll probably try to, as best I can, sort of circle to go up and try to get above it.
To get above the thing. No, well, your option is to land on land or land in the town. You won't be able to land at the fortress.
I'm not trying to land at the
Okay.
fortress. I'm just trying to get above the crazy air.
Oh, yeah. Once you get outside of where that area is, and catch your breath, because that's really taxing. Yeah, you can get out and above and then get up over where the structures are causing that updraft.
Gotcha. Good night, Sand Spider.
Good night.
Um,
I think it's Sean as James Bond 007, aka Renfield, aka Mr. Beetlejuice, aka I forget his other character name. Is taken off. Have a good one. I just don't know what to call him anymore. He's had so many character names, I don't know what to call him.
that's fair. That's fair. So yeah, I just kind of take in the lay of the land and sightsee a little bit with my flying, and then nice.
The ghost with the most.
Very nice, Sean. I like it. And then eventually I'll land in the town.
Okay. The city, as you note, is very, well, it's Gothic. The white Middencrete walls throughout most of the city really make the city stand out. A raid!
Whoa.
Welcome in, raiders! Hello, hello! Hello, Tales of Initiative. How are you doing? How is your stream? How is your gaming? Get a shout out for Tales of Initiative. What were you guys playing today? Were you doing 5th edition? Some 5th edition of D&D? Welcome in. A lot of fun. We did the Fabula Ultima. The Fabula Ultima.
Yeah.
Welcome on in. Guys, thank you for joining us. Everyone who came in on the raid, my name is Nick. I'm down here at the bottom. This is Brian and Matt. Every Wednesday we do tabletop role-playing, and these guys are pretty much usually in all of those games. We have a different tabletop role-playing game every Wednesday night. Different. I mean, we shift. We have campaigns that run. So welcome on in. Thank you for being here. It's a JTTRPG game that is good for all weebs. Okay. So it's like a Japanese themed tabletop RPG. It looks like fun. I haven't played it yet. Oh, that's you. That's you. That's you. Right here above me. Awesome. Well, cool. I'm glad you guys had a good time. I'm glad you guys were having fun. Thank you for the raid. Thank you so much, guys. Go check out. Did the shout out not happen? Did the shout out not happen? Go and check out Tales of Initiative, guys. Follow that link. Watch some great D&D RPG, tabletop RPG games. They are awesome. I follow them. I hang out and lurk on them whenever I see them up. They are very awesome. We are playing Pathfinder 1st Edition. This is the old school 3 campaign where we are all playing ourselves, which is kind of the thing to do these days. Like, a lot of people talk about that. There's a term for it. I don't remember what the term is, but there's a term for when you play yourself and go into a game. It's called like isekai, an isekai game. Isn't that what it's called now? I think that's the term, where you play yourself in a tabletop RPG. And I'm like, we've been doing that for 20 years. So we're the We've been doing cool things since before it was cool, I guess. But this game does take place in the Pathfinder First Edition. We are all playing ourselves, and we all have the memories of all of the past games where we have played ourselves. So welcome on in. Thank you guys for being here. So Brian, you are flying over the top of Carrion Hill. You see the Middencrete, which is kind of like their version of concrete mix. For a lot of their buildings, it's like a whitewash sort of build. And they have...
Sure.
There's a lot of wood. There's a lot of like Gothic art structure to it. And it's very strong, all of the structures, because it is Middencrete. However, Middencrete kind of gives the town like this smell to it that's faint. And at times it can be really bad, and at times it's not. You're up above it, so you really get a good waft of that smell of Middencrete where it's collecting in the ozone and atmosphere.
Okay.
And it smells like rotten seafood is kind of what it smells like. And it's like hot, warm, rotten seafood up in the air, mixed with the ozone and the atmosphere that is in the town. It's not so bad. People that come to town, dignitaries and whatnot, they don't really notice it because, let's be honest, some of their towns smell like sewers. This town actually has sewer and a sewer drainage system, so they don't have to worry about that.
Fair.
So, and you land in the town, and again, the town, there are folks working. Hot, warm, and rotten is my least favorite way to have seafood. That's right. That's right.
Agreed.
So the town is like, there's extra patrols, as we've mentioned. There is a lot of work. A lot of the citizenry is doing a lot of work. And except for maybe some of the kids who don't really understand what's going on, the adults seem really not only glad to have some of them have work, but are proud to be washing the streets and scrubbing walls and scrubbing fences and getting it clean. They are fucking proud to be doing it.
Okay.
And I don't know if I don't think Matt had shared. Oh no, you guys were all there when Sandra had mentioned that to this town, like, she is one of them. Like, she isn't like, they don't look up and be like, oh, she's just a noble. As far as the citizenry of this town are concerned, she is one of them. She is the best representative of the individual, everyone that lives in Carrion Hill. They treat, like, to everybody in this town, for the most part, she might as well be their daughter. Just had a funny thought. You and Brian and Matt are like the three amigos. We are. Brian as Steve Martin, Matt as Chevy Chase, and Brian as Martin. Brian, you get to be two characters. You get to be both Steve Martin and Martin Short, and I don't even get to be included. I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure he meant I'm Steve Martin. Or I'm Martin Short, maybe. No, I think you're more of the Martin Short personality than I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyhow, love the three amigos. So you really, after she, because you had seen the town before, you had seen some of the work being done, you didn't really get an understanding of it. You've put the puzzle pieces together. She wasn't just boasting. She was being honest. And the reason she got you guys is because she wants to do right by them through you.
Okay.
Like, her choosing to have you guys come in and do what they're doing is why she's having you do it. It's because these villagers, these city folk, her domain of the town, are very important to her.
Okay. I will, I guess I'll maybe, getting a better sense of that, I'll maybe, walk around and kind of, explore some of the, like, the shops or vendors, for lack of a better term, as far as like for food and and
Yeah.
whatnot, and just get kind of a good feel of the town, and maybe throw a little money towards the town as well as needed. But
Yeah, so Pathfinder, let me pull up some of the information here on the side. So it's separated into different sections. You've got the Crown, you've got the Tangle, and you've got the Filth. The Crown is kind of on top of the hill, and that's kind of where a lot of like the noble, the rich people live and stuff like that. The Tangle is kind of the slopes of it and the sides of it. A lot of the inner workings and a lot of the maze-like structures are kind of in that area. And the Filth is mostly just along the southern bank of the river.
okay.
And that's kind of where the super poor people live. That's also where a lot of the industrial stuff is. That's where the Middencrete factories are. A lot of that kind of stuff. The fisheries are in a handful of different areas because this is kind of the town is on not only on a river, but like the outskirts is swampland. Like this hill is the only real solid ground for miles.
Okay.
So while the city is very large and huge, everything outside of the city is just swamp and marshlands. A lot of people don't even know why historically this town was put here. However, it thrives. It sits here and it thrives, and they have this Middencrete stone, this midden stone that really is a huge part of the city. They have other things too. Their fishing is very good. Because it's on a swamp, there is a lot of fish that can't be fished. You know, if you go out into the swamp, like it's bog, so like the fish live underneath, so they can't overfish the area.
Okay.
So they can fish a lot. And part of the reason that they like to use these cliffs and they like to go down to where the water is and fish is because there's not a lot of pollutants. There's not a lot to scare away the fish because the city is so the way it is. So they can get down and away from the city because the city's on the big slope. It's not really on the water per se, like the docks are. But once you get out there, like the hustle and bustle of the city, that's up there. That's up the hill. That's up the mountainside. You can fish with relative ease. So their fishing is very good. The adventuring is actually pretty lucrative in the area. There is a lot of lost and forgotten tombs and things. The city itself, people are always finding new openings, new caverns, new catacombs within the city that have never been developed before. And you find out through chatting that like the Pathfinders once had a little place here, but they never really used it. Even though some of the intent, the city thought that the intent was that the Pathfinders were going to come and explore these caves and get some history, which never happened.
Gotcha.
At least that's what the city believes was going to happen with this Pathfinder Lodge that was installed in the town. And none of that really ever came to fruition. However, they did do a lot of stuff. They discovered that there was an asylum that was corrupt and was torturing people, and there was all kinds of craziness happening in this asylum that the city folk didn't really know about, and people who had lost people into the asylum and they were never seen again, and they found out all this corruptness, and like the Pathfinders actually rooted that issue out and kind of saved part of the city along with some other things. So that's kind of what you get from the town. As far as shops, there's nothing really that stands out. You know, they have food vendors, a lot of like sausages and like blood sausage type food, cheeses. A lot of like goat meat is fairly popular because the goats can survive off of some of the swamp food. They also have a lot of other game meat, birds, and the like.
Okay. I'll get some well cooked goat meat and some cheese and whatnot, and bring it back to the camp.
Okay, sounds good.
And maybe some eggs if they're.
Yeah, they have like duck eggs mostly. Like there are chickens, but any chickens are usually the ones that are kept more in town than out of town.
Sure.
And so that's usually like the locals that might have chicken eggs, and they mostly keep them for themselves. But a lot of the fishermen will come back. They'll raise duck eggs somewhere nearby. They'll have a little pen hidden away where they like raise ducks, and they'll bring ducks in, or they'll explore that sort of thing because it is on a lake, so it's easier lakes and swamps to be able to do that.
Yeah, sounds good. And yeah, so I'll do that, and then I'll finally kind of head back.
Okay. You get back around, we'll say 11ish, and you see an envoy. You see that young woman actually that you saw earlier with the mayor, with the lady mayor.
Okay.
You see Valina is actually there and waiting. She's actually sitting there waiting with Matt. Matt, Lady Valina came up to you. Actually, she walked in with Nick. She had found Nick outside, and they were chatting, and they came, and Nick's like, yeah, she apparently has a message for me, you, and Brian. So whenever Brian gets back, so we'll just hang out.
Yeah. What token is Lady Valina's again?
Lady Valina is...
Okay.
So Lady Valina comes. Brian, you show up and you see Lady Valina is sitting upstairs. Actually, they're sitting downstairs at the kitchen where you met with the mayor, with the lady mayor, and
Okay.
they're sitting there and they're just kind of chatting. You guys find out that she's much more like, she still holds a very noble way of talking and a way of her mannerisms. Like, she is very much aristocrat. In fact, she is 9 levels aristocrat.
Okay.
And she's also got levels of expert. So like, she's like commoner, like she's NPC class, but she's no slouch. And
fair.
So she holds herself very proper, but you also know that like she is a crafter, a seamstress, a tailor, a fashionista. She is actually known. You come to find out from the servants in the household that she is actually one of the most well sought after seamstresses in Ustalav. However, because she is loyal to Lady Sandra, none of the other nobles, she's basically untouchable. Like, they would like for her to come work for them. She won't. It doesn't matter what they offer her. She
Gotcha.
doesn't give two shits. She also has a little bit of an attitude when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like, she's got no problem saying, I don't give two shits what Lady Califaso offers me. She can eat a dick. She's kind of got that. Like, sometimes she'll speak out of turn when she knows she can get away with it. And she knows she can get away with it when she's standing around just you guys.
Sure.
So yeah, Brian, you walk in. You see her there
Be like,
talking
hey,
with...
I
Yeah.
brought in breakfast. Oh, hello.
She's like,
Kinda
hello,
nod
we've been
towards her
waiting for
then.
you. She's like, we've been waiting for you.
Oh, my apologies for my tardiness. Here's some food, boys.
Thank you.
And she goes, perhaps you shouldn't eat too much.
Why is that?
The Lady Mayor's father wants to meet with you before you leave.
Oh, okay.
He was hoping to have lunch with you.
Oh, that's why I
Oh.
shouldn't eat too much.
Fair enough. So roughly how long would it take us to walk there if we're...
She says lunch is more like around a 2 o'clock-ish time, which will give you
okay.
plenty of time. So you'd have like an hour or two to get there. So it would be plenty of time, X amount
Okay.
of time to get
Well,
there.
then I'll scoop up the basket with the meats, and it's like, well, Thank you. Well, make sure that I am prepared and ready on time this time.
Well, she's like, to be fair, you didn't know I was coming. And she says,
Very well. Then I forgive you for not telling us you were going to be here sooner.
she's like, I didn't.
And
she goes, I didn't fucking know I was going to be sent here. She's like, so take that meat and shove it. And she does that. And she grabs a piece of your cheese and tosses it in her mouth.
And I just smiled.
And one of the servants goes, I can store that in a pantry for you if you'd like to have access for it later so it doesn't go bad.
Go ahead and share it with the men or whatever. I mean, it's not a ton for a whole lot of them, but some of them are taking a break. Might as well not let it go to waste. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
can always get
she
more
was
later.
saying she can put it in a place where it won't go to waste and it also won't go bad. So you guys can have it like later tonight or tomorrow, or you can take it with you, is what she was offering, what the servant was offering to store it for you.
Fair enough.
But if you still want her to share it, that is up to you.
Yeah, no, I'd just say, go ahead and share it with the
Okay.
whoever's hungry.
Sounds good.
Because we apparently have lunch.
You have lunch. So I don't have a map for the Crown Manor,
Sure.
but we're just going to use the overall map of Carrion Hill for which to figure that out. So you guys go and meet. She has a wagon there, like an actual carriage, which the lady did not have before.
Okay.
And the carriage has guards and a very well-dressed butler. This thing looks brand new. The carriage looks brand new. The people's armor looks brand new. Their clothing and armor has the Heggry family crest on it. All looks brand new.
Okay. I'm half tempted to look under the bench seat to see if they have the burning of the guys from Sandpoint that made this. Like, I'm half tempted to see. Or not Sandpoint, from Bistons.
From Bistons, yeah.
Looking for the maker's mark.
Right. But I don't. But I'm tempted.
So you guys make it to Crown Manor. It is in the travels. She sits in there with you. Do you have any questions for her?
Do you know what we might expect when speaking with the he's not Lord Mayor anymore, the
Count Heggry?
Count?
I think he wants to get an idea of the stock of you. I'm sure he knows what his daughter has in mind. His daughter and son-in-law. His daughter and Riley, she says. Or his daughter and Mr. Savage have for you to do for work. I think he wants to just chat to see what you're all about.
That makes sense.
She goes, however, I can tell you that he used to be an adventurer. She kind of lets her guard down a little bit as far as the noble pompous, the nobility act. And she goes, in his youth, Count Heggry was a champion for the people. He fought against undescribable monsters that imaginations couldn't understand or comprehend. He was very successful in fighting with his friends, his allies, to the point where some of the darker, seedier people in the countryside that worked with some of the undead and other monstrous powers that be in Ustalav relegated him. They elevated him to nobility and shoved him as punishment in Carrion Hill as mayor.
Gave him responsibility to keep him from going out and adventuring.
She nods. In his many years running Carrion Hill, he's brought Carrion Hill from nothing to one of the most successful cities in Versex. Many of the nobility didn't like what his growth had meant. However, in recent light of things that had happened, his ushering in to his current role was directed by the prince himself. We don't know why. She's like, I don't know why. Sandra's not quite sure either. However, now he's in charge of all of Versex. But know that his stock comes from being an adventurer. His stock comes from fighting unnamed horrors that even adventurers such as Riley might not have ever even thought of in their wildest dreams and nightmares. And he did it for the people of Carrion Hill and the people of Ustalav. He is not just highly regarded in Carrion Hill, but by all of the civilians in Ustalav. Out of character, you guys also, you tack this onto the things that Sandra said and how she was raised in Carrion Hill from a child, why this city would die for her, and why she is considered their daughter by every...
She's
Okay.
one of them.
She is one of them because of the things her father had done and raised them in there as one of them. Like, because he is one of them.
Do we know how old Sandra is? Like, was she born here in Carrion Hill? Or was she a transplant when her dad became the mayor?
She was born during his mayorhood.
Okay.
He's been a mayor for like 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been a mayor for a very long time. So yeah, she was raised here. Do you have any other questions for her?
Anything about the count that we should be mindful of? Like, does someone drinking before he gets a chance to drink at a meal tend to piss him off, or, like other weird social faux pas that we might stumble into?
She says that while in the past, he would have been far more likely to make the faux pas, he is very smart and cunning when it comes to that. So, like, fitting into the noble hierarchy and dealing with nobles wasn't difficult for him. However, if other people make faux pas or do things, especially people who aren't nobles, he just pretends like they didn't happen. He knows what they are, but he understands, and it's not as big of a deal to him. However, if he's with a bunch of nobles and they would all find it a faux pas, he would probably follow the act in making it look like it was a faux pas, even though he probably doesn't really care.
Good to know.
Anything else? Because she's basically opening up. Here's the here. Let me tell you the history of whatever you want to know, whether it be him, Sandra, Carrion Hill, the people you're working for. Like, she has kind of opened up a little bit to you guys.
Do you know? Oh, go ahead, Brian.
I was gonna say, so the whole horrors that man was not meant to know, does that happen a lot around here?
She's like, depends on what you mean by a lot. Depends on what you mean by where. But, you know, some people are plagued by dragons. Some people are plagued by zombie hordes. We get unknown horrors. Once in a while, there's a vampire that, you know, becomes a problem. Every country, every place, even here, every county is a little bit different, but Ustalav has dealt with some strange things. I mean, even the Whispering Tyrant has made his way through here.
That's fair.
Out of character, part of me wants to say the Whispering Tyrant was from Ustalav. That could be wrong.
I believe the tower for Whispering Tyrant is in like
Last wall.
Yeah, it's in Lastwall, but I think he was from Ustalav. I don't
He
remember.
has a
It's neither here nor there.
vacation island off the coast of Ustalav.
That's what it is, yeah.
yeah.
Vacation for him, nightmare fuel for everyone else.
Right. So, you guys arrive at the Crown Manor. And the guards get out. Oh, well, never mind. You didn't ask. You get out of the carriage, the new carriage, and the guys with their liveries, they guard, they follow you, they lead you to the building. They stop there, they check in with the front gate guard. The front gate guard lets them in, lets you guys in. They drop you guys off in front of the manor. They take the carriage off. Lady Sandra goes, right this way, sir, or gentleman, and leads you through the manor and seats you in a library. There are a lot of leather chairs, very, very cushy, but it is a library. It is, the ceilings are lofted. There's one of those rolling ladders that you can roll along to get up to the 8-foot tall parts of the library shelves. But it is a very plush and comfy library. It is dry, but not too dry. It is the perfect temperature for books. Comfy chairs, seats. There's an elevated platform area that has like a table that can seat 6 with very ornate chairs, table settings, and it is actually set for food. There's nobody there except for there is a gentleman that is a butler type looking guy that is finishing up setting the table.
Brian is gonna bite his lip to stop singing tunes from Beauty and the Beast.
It looks like it's that. Although a bit more gothic in feel.
Because yeah.
And she goes, I will inform the Count that you are here. And I will, after that, I probably will not see you as I have duties to do for the lady.
Well, thank you for the enlightened ride.
And she leaves. The butler says, you are welcome to look through the library. You are welcome to have a seat either at the dining table or in one of the chairs.
Okay.
Were you going to say something else to her on her way out?
No, I just, when she leaves, I look at Matt and Nick and be like, I like her.
Yeah.
She's got sass. I dig that.
She does. And she definitely, as soon as you guys get out of the carriage, snap of the fingers, noblewoman. Instant. So you guys, I don't know what you guys choose to do while you're in here for the little while before the Lord Mayor arrives.
Oh, I'm gonna look at all the books.
Okay. It's very large. It's all, a lot of it is centered on the history, or on, not the history, but on stuff based on Ustalav.
Okay.
It's the wrong folder. Of course it is. Of course I have the wrong folder. Oh well. So, you get like noble history of Ustalav, the history of Versex, books of maps of Carrion Hill and the surrounding areas, but then you also have like a bunch of religious texts and what have you, a lot of planar books, like
Okay.
cosmology of the planes, cosmology of discs, cosmology of whatever, a lot of theoretic texts on things. So there's like, you would get a bonus on knowledge planes if you were to do research here. You would get a bonus on anything Ustalavic if you were to do research here on Ustalavic anything.
Okay.
They have a there's a whole area on you see books on alchemy and genome, like gene mutation scientific research studies, and the uses of magic on beings that didn't belong, it didn't need to have magic, like a whole area that is basically knowledge dungeoneering.
Okay.
So just all kinds of stuff. So if you have any knowledge dungeoneering checks, you'd get a bonus on that. So all of those kinds of things, and stories, children's books, novels. There's a whole section on like fiction, just fiction novels and books. You actually find an entire series of basically like vampire stories. You guys would equate it to Anne Rice stories. In fact, you look at it and you're like, this actually looks kind of like an Anne Rice book. And it says on there, Elson Kindler is the author. And the door opens, and in walks. And I know Matt, you have seen what the Lord Mayor looks like.
Before the Lord Mayor comes in,
Yes.
does the person setting the table leave, or is he there until the Lord Mayor comes in?
He's kind of putzing, to
Okay.
put it in Brian's terms. So he stays in there, but he's like working, he's cleaning and setting. He's kind of waiting to know when the mayor arrives so that he can be directed on whether or not to go get food or to get drinks or to get, whatever. So he is there, and he also asks you guys if you'd like some water, if you'd like a drink. He does ask you guys that as well.
Okay, knowing that he's sticking around, I will not stand by the ladder on the big brass rod going through the library. I will then go ask him if I could get a glass of like red wine, and then just look at some of the more like political books.
Okay.
I'm really looking more for things that might have information on like allies or enemies of County Versex.
Okay.
Because if we got to go deal with some of these people, and we know, like, Countess Emily effing hates Heggry because, like, he was the one that slayed her vampire lover 50 years ago or whatever,
Yeah.
we might have to work extra hard on her.
Right. Yeah.
Good call. Good call.
Sure. Yeah, he gets wine. Anything for you, Brian?
Yeah, a little bit of wine would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nick just asks for, a small glass of liquor, whiskey, rum, whatever you got, gin, vodka. Just a small glass, nothing fancy.
Oh, and then I will ask for a little bowl of water.
Okay. Nick left the cat behind. Needless to say.
I brought.
Yeah, yours is small.
Hey,
Yours
no
isn't a
way.
giant fucking monstrous. Yours isn't
A
a horse.
giant saber-toothed
Yeah,
cat.
yours isn't a saber-tooth sized cat. So like you don't need it. It rides you. You can't ride it.
Correct. I can put it in a familiar satchel.
Yeah. So he leaves. Do you do anything now that he's gone?
Yeah, I take the ladder for a ride.
You get on and be like, woo!
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and all the corners are curved, so like you could literally go around the entire the entire room.
And as I'm doing it, I hold Tango out on one hand, and I just think to him, or I say in Dinosaur, like King of the World, as we like, and then I like get off like nothing happened.
That's funny.
I dig it.
Nick's chuckling at it. Nick probably makes some sort of like, this isn't Titanic. Paint me like one of your French girls, Matt.
Okay,
And
but it's
meanwhile-
gonna be real bad. I can't draw a straight line normally.
You're like, I talk in dinosaur. Nick's like, dinosaur's technically an animal. I know what you're saying.
Meanwhile, Brian is singing be our guest, dun, 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 and just kind of humming that to himself under his breath.
When you see this gentleman walks in. He is not what you were probably expecting. He does have a large chain with a medallion on it that says, hey, this guy is a high noble. But otherwise, everything else is like it's high quality, but it's not flashy. His presence isn't, you wouldn't expect him to be this adventuring hero. The look on his face is not menacing nor intimidating. He just looks like somebody's dad. And
Go ahead.
it kind of reminds all of you of like a fatherly figure dressed in the clothes of somebody that it fits him, it suits him, but you could see him wearing a flannel and jeans and hanging out at the Home Depot. So he walks in and he goes, you must be my daughter's new hires.
Oh yes, and you must be
Indeed.
Count Heggry.
Yes, I am. And he reaches out to shake your hands.
I shake his hand.
He
I
shakes your
shake his hand as well.
He's like, are you guys hungry? Do you need food?
Yes.
He's like, he's looking around. He's like, the server must have stepped out for a moment. As soon as he comes back, I'll tell him that
He was getting us some refreshments and as well as a little pitcher of water or a saucer of water for my familiar.
Oh, excellent. Nice. He's like, well, let's have a seat at the table. And as soon as he gets back, we'll have drinks and we can chat. Tell me about yourselves. And he goes over and pulls up a chair and just sits down.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, he goes, and then he stops and he goes, I assume you don't care for the noble canter.
Oh, thank God, no.
He's like, he goes, I assumed.
We're going to get stuck with a lot of it working for your daughter.
That's what I hear. Yeah, I shouldn't be the one to be convincing people to show up for my daughter's wedding, even though I should. And I wish I could. However, my position makes that difficult. It makes it easy, but it also makes it difficult. But my position is more than count. My position is count that many people think do not deserve the role. and many really don't want me to have.
When, I mean, I can see that hearing from your exploits of youth.
Oh, the people in the town talk too much.
Speaking of that, though, with knowing who might be old enemies or new enemies, on this mission for your daughters, who would you recommend we speak with first? Who would be offended for not being in the top 5 of invite uh, receivers?
She's like, well, I can tell you that there is going to be a difference between those who are offended and those who my daughter wants to make sure are there.
Mm.
There are people that we are sure that all we need to do is send an invite and they will arrive. The prince, we don't know if he will come directly or if he'll send a proxy. We're hoping he comes. We're hoping he comes not for us, but for the country. There is a lot of international diplomats that are going to be coming. And it would behoove the country if the prince were to come. However, you will have to go through his proxy, and we can set up a meeting with his proxy for you in hopes to get a meeting with him. I can set that up.
That would be good.
Yeah.
And he goes, just for your information, the prince is essentially the ruler of Ustalav.
So you said basically the ruler, but who, I guess, is the actual ruler?
He is the actual ruler. He is the prince. Nick doesn't remember why they don't call him king, but there's a reason they don't call him king.
But like that's like the high title. Okay.
Yeah, he is the prince. He might as well be the king. Nick just doesn't remember off the top of his head. I read it yesterday. There's a reason that they don't call him king. But yeah, he is the leader of. He is essentially the king of Ustalav.
Okay.
The king had 2 children. His brother, the prince, took over the throne. His brother, the prince, died of sickness, and he reluctantly took control for the greater good of Ustalav, even though he did not want to be. He doesn't want to be the ruler. I believe that was why he doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to be called king. He is the ruler and he makes the decisions, but he doesn't want to be called king because he didn't want the role. But he also couldn't let anyone else try and take it. And his brother and his father were not well regarded amongst a lot of the nobility.
Good information to know about him.
His proxy is named Duaden, Diauden. Pronounce it however the hell you want, because Nick doesn't know. Diauden.
Could you respell that for me again?
It's Diauden. Diauden.
Cool.
He goes, Diaden can be found. A second here. I have it. Diaden can be found at the at the White Shaw building outside of the Caliphas castle.
The White Shaw building?
White Shaw building.
Okay.
Mm, So that's definitely kind of
If
like the
anybody
top.
comes, if anybody comes to the wedding on behalf of the prince, it'll be Diadin. We would prefer that the prince come himself.
Makes sense.
Um, the countess might be a little bit more of a difficult challenge.
Countess as in the prince's wife, or Countess of.
So he goes, you don't know the history of Ustalav. The capital of Ustalav used to be in Ardis. The prince's father up and moved the capital from Ardis to Caliphas. The countess, her family ruled Caliphas and that county. Caliphas is the county and the city. Of course, the family was delighted at the move and invested lots of money to build the new capital building out of their own pocket for it to be the capital because it is still their city. However, Ardis, the people of Ardis, the Countess of Ardis, was not happy that the capital got taken away from her. There is bad blood there. The Countess is somewhat of a snake in the grass. She is beautiful, gorgeous, and may have her eye on wanting the throne. She is also probably the most politically capable manipulator out of all of the nobles.
Okay.
Does so she obviously has a problem with the prince. Does she have a problem with
Oh,
you?
sorry, he didn't finish.
Oh,
So his brother was known as the prince's brother, who was the ruler before, was known as the eunuch prince. Except for, supposedly, he had one child with her sister. So her nephew, in her mind, should be the king. And he leans over. He's like, there's rumors that they're sleeping together, her and her nephew. Nobody really knows. I don't think so. She doesn't seem that kind of person. But if she wants to be queen, that's her in. So she doesn't dislike the prince, but she's very much more politically inclined than he is. He's kind of a straightforward, no bullshit kind of guy.
how old is the nephew?
I think he's 18.
So an adult right now.
Correct. An adult to you and to them. Because, in this era, age of adulthood is wishy-washy.
Yeah.
You go, so they're not angry at each other, but just because of who she is, her station, her perceived where she belongs in the hierarchy of who's better than who, coming to a wedding at Carrion Hill may be seen as below her. However, she is still the Countess of the county. and she is an adjacent county. And her not showing up would look poorly upon us. And he stops and he goes, upon my daughter and her fiance, is what I meant to say. He goes, my daughter thinks that you should go to all the different noble houses, one after another.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you should either check in with myself or her before each town, each travel, each location, which would require you to come back here or find us. I also can't schedule myself to be where you're at every single time.
Do you have magics that protect you from magical means of contacting you?
No.
Okay.
But if we can converse magically, that's fine. But we felt it better to let you decide what you felt was best for yourselves. But we will always be open. We want to make sure that you can have access to us for information, should you need a little idea ahead of time, so you can plan where you're going to go and what you need to do if you need to be pointed in the right direction. If we feel that you should see one count over another countess, if you should see one ruler instead of another one, who maybe you should visit and talk to while you're in town. Of course, while you're there, you might run across other people.
What is a good low-hanging fruit? Who is someone that needs more than just an invitation letter? That kind of needs to be handheld. That seems the most amenable of accepting the invite if it's personally delivered versus...
He goes, the prince.
Ah.
But the challenge is getting a meeting with him. I think
Sure.
you guys would be the best to not only talk with him like you are with me, but getting him, for multiple reasons, could get other nobles who might not come to show up.
Knowing that he is there.
Knowing that he is going to be there, yes. While you are in town with that, there are other people that you would be able to visit that you could also get to come. Most of them already have the invites. All of the invites have been delivered. You're the personal assurance to try to convince them to make sure to show up. Also, the time frame that you guys have is out of the scope of this adventure. I.e., when you guys are done doing the shit, that's when the wedding is scheduled.
That works.
Gotcha. Okay.
Good, gives a little bit more time.
Yeah, you guys are not on a time crunch. Okay, let me rephrase. You guys aren't on a time crunch, but don't waste like 9 months. Right?
Yeah.
I would put I would put a time frame on it if it weren't you guys. If it were other people, I might put a time frame on it so that it's like, let's go. But you guys have been doing this for we've been doing this for 25 years. You guys know.
Yeah.
You guys understand. You role play time crunches on your own. I don't need to.
Yeah.
I don't need to carrot and stick.
So yeah, I think going to Califax is our first.
Yep.
Yeah.
He goes, Halifax is a scary and dangerous city. He's like, I will tell you to make sure you have any holy items you have prepared. I don't want to say the city is infested with undead and vampires, so I won't. And he pauses and he just looks at you. He individually takes turns looking each of you in the eyes. for you to catch his drift. That there are
Okay.
vampires in Califas. And it's not just one or two. He's like, as long as you stay the course, it shouldn't be an issue. You guys look the role of... You guys don't look the role of victim when you walk through Califas.
So it would be better to look like we are well armed and armored, and as I do that, I'll make my glamored armor like look like the...
Yeah, don't look like you're rich merchants with no way to protect yourselves.
Okay.
You look like what you are, and that will get you a good portion of the way through the city, at least without having to fight vampires down every alley when somebody's not looking.
Sure.
Okay. Any other points of interests or place of disinterest that you could let us know about in Califas?
Yeah. Let me look at the map here. He goes, you will be going a distance to get to Califas. He goes, I know you have... You have contacts and people that you know in the town of Thrushmoor. That is about the halfway mark to Califas. I would suggest that being a stopping point along your way.
Okay.
Well, and we may be even able to touch base, communicate with you there to touch base, potentially.
He goes, you have full requisition to tell the mayor of Thrushmoor that his magic is at your disposal for contacting me. You know, because he outranks Mordok.
Mm-hmm.
He's Mordok's boss.
I'm sure we'll have a few choice words.
Could we get that in some type in writing with your signet on it?
Sure, I will get that made up tonight and sent to you. When do you
Thank
plan on leaving?
Probably tomorrow.
He nods.
Yeah.
It looks like it's a pretty long trip. Does like any in the books in the library have like a map, or is there like a map
Yeah.
on the wall?
Yeah, there's
or
lots of
something?
maps. Yeah.
How long? Like if we're traveling by land, because we're gonna kind of have to get from Carrion Hill down to Thrushmoor at least,
Mm-hmm.
or at least to like Lantern Lake, and then take like a ferry down.
Yeah.
Like how long is it estimated to take us?
You're looking to get to Thrushmoor. It's about 100 miles.
Okay.
So you're looking
So,
at
like-
a 200-mile journey. So it's going to be maybe a half a week to a week. However, the mayor does tell you that if you want, he believes that there is magics either at the Eternal Etchings that you might be able to get, or the Heartland Warriors compound may have magics available.
Oh, we already have the best magic of all. A person with a wagon that's willing to bring us places.
Aren't they down further south getting said wagon?
Nope, that guy was here outside of the Heartland Warriors establishment.
Yeah.
Trying to see if I have his name written down. I don't have his name written down.
Yeah, his character sheet right here. I can remember his name though.
But he's
Quinston.
Nick's
Quinston.
Quinston.
Quinston the gnome. Yeah.
Or
Well,
he's
and keep in
kind of
mind,
like
you
our
also
valet.
know that like if you teleport somewhere, he just follows with the wagon and shows
Mhm.
up there however many days. Like he literally will show up after you wherever you go.
Yep.
That's his job. Or take you places if that's the need.
like I think
We have 32 seconds
Using-
before an ad runs, guys, just for everybody listening.
Yep. Yeah, I think using him at least for the close places
Yeah.
makes sense, and then using our resources or what limited magics might be in the town to go to some of the farther places.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's a good call.
He does also mention, because you asked about the harder people,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, my wife really thinks that he should be there. He is a bordering noble. He runs the county of Varno. He is almost never seen. He always sends proxies and other people. He has a whole network of proxies and people who work the capital of Varno. Sandra really thinks that the actual representative being there of Varno would be seen as a huge boon and a strength to our family, to the wedding, and to me as a leader, to be able to get him to actually physically appear at the wedding.
Right. What city in Varno is he assumed to be found in?
The capital city of Varno, I believe, is Seska. Cesca.
Well, I think if we can secure the prince, that might help us in getting the Count of Varno
True.
to show up.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad way to do it.
He's like, I've never met the man. I don't really know how you're going to get an in. So the best part would be to go there and figure it out. There's not a lot I can do with that.
Yep.
He goes, also, I might mention that the leader of the Count of Amans, Amaans, Count Lucianian Geldana, will also need to be convinced.
And sorry, that was of what place?
The Amans,
Amans.
Amaans. It is west of Versex. It surrounds the county of Alcazar. And he says you don't need to worry about the person that runs Alcazar.
Yep.
And he says it with almost a shiver. He says our deal is also a neighboring county, and you'll need to convince the Countess there as well to arrive. He's like, but we can talk more of some of those later. Once you get to talk to the prince, the lady of Caliphas, we can talk more and we can discuss more of it on your way there, should you need to check in with me or check in with Sandra.
That works. Thank you.
He nods. You guys eat during this conversation, this long conversation. You eat, have food. The food is good. A lot of vegetables. The meat is cooked and seasoned great. And you guys talk about, he asks you about some of your adventures, some of the things you've done, some of the people you've met, how you got to know, how you got here, right? How did my daughter get to know about you guys? How did she find out about you? How did Riley then? Through Riley. How did Riley get to know you? Through Dexter, but you met him once before. You were here for Mordoc's wedding. You guys talk about Mordoc's wedding. He kind of divulges more information about what happened during Mordoc's wedding. I don't know how much you tell him about what brought you to the wedding, Mordoc's wedding.
I don't think so. Partially because we don't remember all of it either. So if more questions
Yeah.
are asked, we can't give good answers.
Well, so part of it you remember. You don't remember getting to Carrion Hill because
Mhm.
Carrion Hill was the part that needed to be a secret from your guys' brains. Why you went there, you remember as much as you guys would remember.
Okay.
That there was a bard that you had met for another adventure that was part of this bigger thing, and something was hunting him, and he needed to get this sword to the archer in Carrion Hill. And along the way, while you guys were all going with him to Carrion Hill, you all got attacked by something very large on the road. You guys got buried in trees, like redwood-sized trees that fell, knocked over by this creature that killed and tore the bard apart for something he had. As far as you know, that creature was after the sword. You spent the rest
Okay.
of the trip scared to death that thing was going to come after you because you had the sword, and you were happy to be rid of it.
Yep.
I don't know how much of that story you explain, or not at all. Keep it secret. That is up to you.
I think we just say that we were hired to drop a sword off.
Okay.
For Riley.
It's in that moment that you guys can go ahead and roll a. We'll roll a sense motive. It's a retroactive sense motive. It's about the closest I
Okay.
can think of for this. It's kind of looking back and using some of your mythic knowledge, your history, your ability to decipher the order of things that exist and how they exist in the world.
39.
26.
So you guys remember, you talk about it a little bit. You were hired. You guys, and you think about, you're all thinking about that horrific night. One of the scariest nights that you guys had because of how helpless you felt. There's no snowball's chance in hell. Even in your prior lives, the only thing that would have accounted is the lost memory of going into Dragon Mountain for Matt and Nick, where you don't really remember what happened after Dragon Mountain. It's almost the fear of that level. One of the most terrifying things you guys can think of. So as you shudder through that thoughts, you realize where that happened near Corvosa, on your foot travel to Ustalav and Carrion Hill, which is a goddamn long travel. Never once did it come back for you. If it knew where you were when it attacked, how did it not know where you were afterwards? Unless it wasn't after the sword.
Ooh.
and you don't know what it was, but it was large and scary and able to knock down redwoods on a whim. That being said, is there anything else you get? And you guys shudder and like continue food or whatever. Is there anything else you would like to discuss while you were here with Count Vanton Heggry?
I don't think so myself, but
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think for right now. I think we'll definitely have questions on the way back from talking with the prince.
All right. Sounds good. So yeah, so he bids you adieu.
Yeah, thank him for the time and head out.
He said he will send you that writ in the morning for Mordok.
Cool.
okay. Sounds good.
And he will send a runner to the city of Caliphas to set a when you show up you can have a meeting, the allowance of a meeting with Duodin. And yeah, he says the wagon will be ready for you, and escort them back unless you would prefer. He's been with plenty of adventuring types. He was an adventuring type. He goes, unless you'd prefer to leave on your own accord. But we do have a carriage that can bring you back, and it is ready to go.
Yeah, I think taking the wagon back for right now works.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Thank him again.
You leave, get in the carriage, and you head back. On your way back, you end up riding down and around, and you end up not quite at the road that leads out to the Heartland Warriors, but you're right by that bar that you spent the first evening in, and the carriage slows to a stop. This isn't where you're meant to go. This isn't your final destination. However, the carriage has stopped nonetheless outside the Lady of the Dawn Inn. And your carriage door opens, and a man steps in, closes the door, and sits down next to you. I'm going to roll a 3-sided die. Matt, you are 1, Brian is 2, Nick is 3.
Yep.
Okay.
3. So, Matt, you and Brian are sitting next to each other. Nick is on the other side. The man sits down next to Nick. You guys can go ahead and roll your knowledge. You can roll knowledge nobility. Matt, you can roll a knowledge religion. Brian, you can roll a knowledge local. Or history. I'd let you roll local or history.
Cool.
Truth be told, my nobility and local are pretty much going to be the same.
Okay.
I am going to spend an inspiration point, and we'll see what I get.
The nobility is a higher DC. The other ones are a lower DC because they're more specific, but you can only roll the ones that I gave you for those other ones, but everybody can do the knowledge nobility. So just let me know what you rolled.
41 on my religion.
Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna use my once a day standard action, take a 20 and a knowledge check, which means I'll have a total of 31.
For which skill? Which knowledge?
You said nobility was probably going to be a tougher one, so let's go nobility.
Yeah, nobility is a tougher one, but all of you can use nobility. The other ones are specific for you, so.
Oh, then I guess I would do the knowledge local then.
Okay. And what did you get, Brian?
So if I do the take a 20
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
I got a 31.
Okay. So you get a 31. You guys roll high enough. You see it's actually Riley who steps in and sits down across from you. And he closes the door and he's like, well, that was, he goes, well, that was easy. It's like, I was just headed to see you guys.
Oh.
I just,
Like, did you flag down the wagon, or?
yeah, he goes, yeah, I stopped in to get a drink and say hi to the bartender on my way to go see you guys. And I wanted to walk in to see how my men were doing guarding the outposts. And I thought then I saw the wagon. I was like, well, I'll just hitch a ride with the wagon if it's not doing anything and see who's in there. And I thought it was either the Count or my fiance, and I was just going to step in and surprise him. I did not expect to see you three in the wagon. He's like, are you heading to see them, or are you just getting done?
Just coming back, actually.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, fair enough. Catch me up. I don't know where you guys are at, and I haven't talked to anyone since I just got back 5 minutes ago.
We're going to be working on convincing some nobles to attend, and we're kind of making some game plans as to the trips that we're going to need to do in order to make that happen.
Excellent. Yeah, some shit went down lately, and myself and a handful of people may have royally pissed off the vampire nobility throughout the heart of Ustalav. And that's gonna run through the human nobility as well. Whether or not they know I was tied to it, he shrugs. He's like, we also weren't really keeping it a secret.
Okay.
He's like, so that's why we have you guys doing it, because I really can't just walk in there. I mean, he's like, I could just walk in there. But there's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And the wagon starts moving with you guys in there.
Well, we're gonna start. Well, as I'm beginning to talk, I want to look him over to see if he's carrying the sword.
He is carrying the sword.
I just figured that was a good way to know if this was really Riley or not.
Yes. And you guys do know that it is an intelligent sword. You do know that it has a personality, and you kind of have an idea for that sword.
Does the sword talk? Do we remember it saying anything to us?
It didn't say a lot to you, but it knew where it needed to go.
Yep.
And it didn't really specify why it needed to go there. That's not true. It did specify why, because you guys needed to understand. So its previous owner before the bard was a cleric who had done a divination. The sword didn't specify, but the divination was that the most useful, that it would be most useful in the hands of the greatest archer for the time being, until a better hand was found, for the purpose of the sword.
Okay.
The sword was part of that divination and understood it kind of more intrinsically, but also didn't want to divulge more information. But it knew it needed to go there, even though the archer that it was going to mostly be an ornament, because it's not a bow. But the sword knew that and understood that for the ultimate good of everything. It didn't tell you more. And you didn't know more, and the bard didn't really say anything.
Did the sword let us give us its name?
It did.
Cool.
Wasn't it Sharishiel?
Yes,
Yes.
it was Turthiel. Thank you.
So I just want to like look at this sword and be like, I hope your
It looks
turn-
like an Ioma. It looks like the pictures of a longsword, all of the religious longswords that Iomade carries. It is not. It does not look. Actually, no, it doesn't look like the sword you guys carried. But you
Okay.
do know that the sword changes shape based on the wielder.
Sure.
I will look at the sword and go, I hope you've been able to help how you can, Sirthiel.
Riley goes. Riley looks at it and goes, I feel bad. Because while I am very capable of carrying this, I am not its final wielder.
I'm sure its final wielder has many generations before they're born.
Roll a sense motive.
Ooh. 31.
27.
So, bluff is a trained skill. So if you don't have ranks on it, you can't go above a 10.
Mm.
Riley's got a 10.
Mm.
Thank you for that follow. Sapphire Wolf, welcome on in. Oh, raid! Queenly Dove! Welcome on in! How are you doing? How was your stream? I was in there at the beginning there. I was in there at the beginning until you shifted on over. Until you switched on over, ended up going to the different game, and I was away from my computer, so I couldn't follow your stream. But welcome on in. Hello, Sapphire Wolf. Sapphire, did you come with Queenly, or did you come with Queenly, or did you come separate of Queenly? Either way, welcome on in, Raiders. Welcome in, Sapphire. Appreciate you all doing here. Today is Wednesday. Wednesday night is tabletop RPG night, where we do tabletop RPGs such as Pathfinder, Dungeons and Dragons, Star Wars, Call of Cthulhu, Dragonbane. I got it right this time. I got Dragonbane right this time. Whatever tabletop RPG. Maybe we'll do some Fallout later down the road. But every Wednesday is tabletop RPG night. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays is video game night. Monday is talk show night. We just had the comic book legend Jim Zub on for our podcast last Monday. Welcome on in, Raiders. Welcome on in, everybody. Thank you for being here. It was good. Went to Call of Duty, and they are mine. Loves you guys. They are yours. Sapphire Wolf is one of yours. Thank you so much for the follow. Thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing your community in and your raid, guys. If you don't know Queenly Dove, Queenly is a streamer who streams primarily from their PlayStation for now until we get that fixed, right? We're going to get that fixed so that she can stream continuously. So if you go in there and you see her streaming and you're following and listening in and hanging out, she's a lot of fun. But if they switch games, just keep in mind you'll have to refresh the page because that's just the deal with PlayStation and streaming from the PlayStation. So keep that in mind. But she is amazing, lots of fun, super chatty. So if you want a streamer who will talk with you, go and check out the Queenly Dove. We are going to get back to the game. Thank you so much for being here. We're continuing in our Old School 3 campaign. The three of us are playing ourselves, and they have just run across an old person that they knew that kind of just literally stepped into their laps. So with your rolls, you all beat his 10. Because the legendary Archer Riley has 0 bluff. He has no game face. Another reason they don't send him to do shit like this with the nobles.
Mm-hmm.
You say many, many generations. The look on his face says no. whatever it's for is going to be within his lifetime, and it may cause lots of deaths. Lots of people may die, and he feels the guilt of it on his own shoulders, like it's his own damn fault.
Okay.
That is what you get from your sense motive.
Cool. I am not gonna question or ask anything about that.
And here's the thing, Matt, you're a paladin of Iomade. He's not a paladin, but he is very devout. You're pretty sure if you asked, he would tell the truth. And he probably, like, he's doing his best to make amends for whatever it is he thinks he's guilty for. But you've also heard stories that he takes personal guilt for a lot of shit that's not his fault. That's kind of his MO. He bears the brunt of situations and takes responsibility for them, even when they're not his responsibility and not his fault. It happens a lot. So yeah, so you get that from him when you say that, and he goes, I hope you're right, is what he says. He goes, but Sir Thiel has told me much and has discussed a lot with me, and I understand, and I am the shepherd that carries it. However, if I need to be the one that wields it when the time comes, I will set down my bow and wield it when the time comes.
Yeah, prophecy can be a real bitch.
So I've heard. How do you like the facility? I assume that you've taken a tour. How long have you been here? I gave them instructions that when you arrive to give you a tour of the facility.
Yeah, well, it's been a day.
2, right?
Yeah, it's
2
a
days.
nice setup.
Do you have any? He goes, do you have any?
God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
Shenanigans?
Shenanigans? Oh, Queenly Dove with the shenanigans. And you are very welcome, Sapphire. Very welcome. And if tabletop RPG Sapphire isn't your thing, come back for a game night. Come back for a talk show night. The shenanigans. Hello, Sage and Eggs. Welcome on in. He goes, as far as defenses go, you guys have been to a lot of fortresses, a lot of buildings. As far as organizations and fortresses go, obviously we don't have a moat, but we are on a cliff. He's like, what are the things do you think should be worked on or looked at from a security standpoint as a military outpost?
Yeah.
Shenanigans!
You may want to figure out some ways to subtly reinforce the cliff face.
He's like, and he leans over in the carriage, because now at this point you're on like the narrow, like it's not narrow, but the big long bridge that goes out to the stalagmite shaped, it's like a small city of itself.
Sure.
That juts up from the ocean, and he looks over the bridge and he goes, and he looks back at you. And he goes,
something I thought of when I was taking a little morning flight today.
He goes, yeah, it would only take like a couple disintegrates to make a section of that come out.
Yeah. Now, granted, I say this while telling you this without actually having the knowledge of how one would accomplish this.
He's like, and then he goes,
However-
then he thinks about like, okay, well, a disintegrate is what, 5 feet by, or 10 feet by 10 feet
Mm-hmm.
hole.
Well, that's
And then he's like, well, it might be more than that, but like if if another building crashed into the side of it, and it might.
admittedly, there are a couple of different things that could happen. That being said, I know of a guy. Well, they used to be at Biston's Pond, I've been told. I've heard of a guy who has great engineering experience. He might be a little hard to get, but knowing the company you keep, you know people that know him and might be able to get him to come out to help figure it out. And of course, you've also got your not concrete, the crete thing.
The Middencrete, yes.
Yeah, that could be used to kind of reinforce it, since that stuff's pretty tough.
True.
But what was the guy's name? Harry Harmon Hasso something or another. Han. Yeah, that's right. Married that Empress chick. Anyway, I heard he's pretty good with that whole engineering design thing, and he used to live. Again, you've got I bet you might have the contacts, people you know.
It's like,
I
yeah, I
think,
think I know somebody who knows the Han. In fact, a couple of them are invited to the wedding. There's a he goes, no, I've met Han. Han's the winner of the Ruby Phoenix tournament.
Yeah, that's right. He was one of the winners of the Ruby Phoenix. Yep.
He's like, yeah, I won one of the side contests during that event. Sage and Eggs, there are so many people, including in this stream, who are very happy for you saying that, by the way.
Yep.
To the point where, because you said that, when we fill up on emotes, it might stay. He goes, yeah, I didn't know that he was an engineer, but I will maybe reach out.
Yeah, and Matt, yeah, I mean, truth be told, I kind of, granted, it was kind of before our time when we were there at the pond.
Biston's Pond.
But I know Maractus is pretty tight with him.
Yes, that makes sense. They're from there. Maractus is great. He goes, Maractus is the one that worked on all of our wedding invites.
Oh.
He goes, he leans in conspiratorially as if you're not the only 4 people in this entire steel carriage. And he leans over, he goes, all of the invites might actually be enchanted. He goes, we made it so that nobody could sneak in with a fake invite. When everybody comes in, he'll be at the front door taking the invites, and he'll know if they're not an actual invite. He's the only one that will know that it's not an actual invite, so nobody can counterfeit it.
So here's a question for you. What about people who show up who don't have an invite, but are VIP-ish?
If they don't have an invite, they don't have an invite.
Right, but like, what if Han and his Empress lady decided to show up?
They have invites.
Oh, you invited them?
He knew he needed work on the mountain.
He's like,
Kinda
well,
like
he's like,
O'Brien.
he goes, and hindsight, like, he knows Han, and he goes, all of the Ruby Phoenix winners were invited.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
In fact, also the person, the Ruby Phoenix tournament committee was sent a request to send a representative for the wedding.
Ah.
as well. But I understand what you're saying. And if somebody of that caliber were to come across the country to attend a wedding that they were not invited to, they should have at least let us know they wanted to show up.
That does make sense. That feels
Especially if we don't know who the hell they are.
I will say, and that is the polite thing, but knowing the egos of some of the people, no offense, some may want to make a dramatic entrance, if for no other reason than to steal a little thunder.
Well, then they have to deal with the guards. And you guys.
Okay.
He's like, my wife told you that, right? You guys are going to be kind of like the bouncer, some of the bouncers, some of the guards.
She said there were other jobs needed once we got the made
It was
sure
a
those that
multi-staged.
were invited.
Yeah.
We want you as our special backup plan. You'll be there at the wedding to spend time at the wedding, but you're there as security without anyone knowing your security.
Gotcha.
You won't have any kind of... We don't want you to have orders. We want you to do things on your own accord because we understand that sometimes shit happens. And if you have people that have certain orders, like, guard that fucking hallway, you guard that hallway even though you think there might be something going on in the room next door.
Okay.
Gotcha.
We want you guys there for whatever shenanigans might occur. We're trying to cross all the T's and dot all the I's, and we know that that's still not going to be enough. But, to be fair, the people that I know that have confirmed that they are coming to the wedding, if anybody, even a fucking ancient dragon, decides to show up at this goddamn wedding, they're going to be in for a fight that they're not going to want to deal with.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's like, the people that were at the last wedding were nothing at the last disaster that happened. Because it was just us and our friends. Now, granted, that's a big thing to deal with, but he shrugs.
It does seem to be a more common occurrence than one would think of dragons crashing a wedding, literally and figuratively.
He goes, it was really strange for here. Like, undead, aberrations, star monsters, sure. Big giant creatures with multiple eyes and mouths coming up from underneath the ground, sure. But a dragon? Meh. In Ustalav? It happens, but...
So there was some Cthulhu shit happening here.
Oh, he leans over. Oh, you probably should say that name. Because out of character, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Right, but Brian's also of the point of we've got everybody and their mother coming after us at one point in time. What makes
Right.
this thing fucking special, you know?
True. And he wouldn't do that because it's like it's so far out and it's not really in his scope. Like, yeah, he's got a 20 to engineering, but like, yes, Cthulhu is a thing, but he hears it, he recognizes it, but you might as well be seeing, you might as well be saying something.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, he's heard of it. That's it. He goes, well, there's a lot of, and he like points up to the ceiling of the carriage. He's like, there's a lot of like aberration type things that exist, especially in Carrion Hill. He's like,
okay,
because they're twisted and crazy, that's kind of what gets me. Like, they don't make sense in the logical world. Like, demons with multiple wings and eyes and snake bodies with multiple teeth and glowing eyes that are 100 feet long. I get that. That's normal. But like, something that's formless and doesn't make logical sense to the brain, he's like, that's the kind of shit that's beyond me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a reason why they say it's that which man was not meant to know.
Right? He's like, God, if you knew the kind of shit that was in the underground at the fortress here that we're going to, man, you wouldn't want to stay there.
Good, fair, good, good to okay.
Yeah. Huh.
He's like, see, it used to be an asylum. And he's just like, it used to be an asylum. And they were like kidnapping and sacrificing people to try and keep this ancient and then he stops and he's like, never mind, you don't need to know. It's okay, I got destroyed anyhow.
Well, that's a plus then for us.
Is it just me, or do asylums seem to go really bad in this world?
I think they probably go bad pretty much everywhere.
No, hold on. That's putting certain stigmas on things. Although it does seem to be a...
He goes, I heard the one in
trope,
Caliphas
so-
isn't too bad. He's
In
like,
where?
oh, and there's one in Artist too. There's one in Artist. There's a Pathfinder that ran it. I can't remember his name, but he was pretty good. I think. I don't remember where it was at. But yeah, there's I think it was an Artist. And he looks at you guys, there's a lot of asylums in Ustalav. For the reasons that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, people see things they're not supposed to and can't take it.
That's
Yes.
fair. That is fair.
He goes, so what I wanted to tell you guys, in addition, he's like, going back to why you're here. One of the things that Sandra and I thought was that you guys could maybe go from point A to point B around the area and get all the things. But do things however you guys feel is best. However, I'm going to let you pick from my crew to bring someone with you to help you guys out.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
So everybody is on the table. If you want the armor smith, you can bring the armor smith with you. If you want Jay to come with you, who is, you know, the talker and the merchant, you can bring with you the farmer. You want to, or the stagehand. They're all handy with swords. Anybody that you've met besides my wife and her assistant, you guys can bring with you. I'll let you guys pick 3, i.e. 1 each.
Okay.
And you guys can bring them with you on your travels to accomplish this, and they'll just be there to help you out. They know a lot of things. They have a lot of experiences. They're all skilled in their own ways at different things. I don't know what you guys are going to need. I don't know what you guys think you might need, which is why I've given you this option, which is also why Nick spent so much time introducing you to all of them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then you guys get back to the facility. And he gets out, and like everybody fucking, they haven't seen him, so he gets fucking crowded.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like very organized crowd, very lawful, if you will. Which is,
Okay.
you can tell it kind of makes him awkward. Like, he's a military guy, but as far as the military goes, he bucked the system a lot. You guys have heard, like, he got in trouble. Like, he left the military because of insubordination, essentially. So there is a lot of organization and order to the organization that he runs. He doesn't give two shits about the organization. It cares about doing the right thing. And as long as they have, not necessarily organization, but discipline in whatever it is they do, that's what's important to him. However, some of the people that do the teaching and the training, they see discipline as order. Especially the paladins of the group, or the would-be paladins of the group, they see that more as order and less as discipline. So yeah, some of the stuff, some of the stodginess kind of gets to him, but he goes through it and gives people their orders and gives people updates real quick while you're there. He's like, oh yeah, I need you guys to do this. And somebody's like, well, what do we do? This is a situation. And he tackles them pretty handily. And then he gets back to you guys in a matter of like 5-10 minutes. And then leads you guys back into the building. This is your chance to get any information you want from Riley. Any questions you have from Riley, anything you might need. As well as if you wanted to discuss any of the NPCs you ran across with him. Now is your chance for any information from Riley on the entire situation.
Do you have some ability for us to communicate like via some sort of message or sending to maybe so we can maybe update as we go along, and that way too, if you have any news, you can kind of give us updates to steer us, so to speak, if needed?
He's like, we could probably get you like a wand of sending.
Okay, that would.
He's like, that would probably be the best. I'm not super magically inclined. Like, I've got a lot of shit on me. I'd have to think about what I've got.
That's fair. I admit I don't have access to the sending spell, so if you had something like that, that would be huge. We could definitely use that.
Yeah. Do any of your people go around? I'm assuming all of them are noteworthy on the battlefield, but I think we might need someone with a little bit more knowledge of Ustalav, its politics, it's kind of like ins and outs, someone that might at least have passing knowledge of the cities we'll be visiting or the
That's a good
nobles
point.
that we'll be reaching out to.
He goes, he's like, I don't want to heavily influence your decision making, but I know a lot of these nobles are going to have you want to do dirty work for them.
So do you have someone that
They're going to want to have favors done and favors owed. What those favors are may differ. You
Sure.
may need the steady hand of an archer, but you also may need somebody to break a noble's horse.
Mhm.
I don't know what they're going to want you to do, which is why I offered the many varied skills that people we have. I don't think any choice is going to be better than the other. And I think when it comes to talking to the nobles and transporting across the lands and dealing with the citizens in general, all of them will be about the same. And in dealing with the nobles, you will be better versed than any of them.
Okay.
So to not concern yourself as much with the specific tasks of let's go convince some nobles to do some shit, and more of consider these characters like magic items you're carrying on you. You get to choose a magic item each of you get. That magic item just happens to be one of the NPCs you met. That is going to be at your disposal for doing things. With that being said, Valina is not on that list. They're all of varied levels and knowledges and skills and classes. You may get someone that sucks. You may get somebody that's like, this person is 2nd level. You may get somebody that is like a 5th level player class. Whatever it
Sure.
is, Nick will be sending you that character sheet to you to have on you.
Yep. Yeah, I still think I want somebody with like some street smarts for the areas that we're going.
Okay.
Like someone with like a good local, a good maybe someone
Yeah.
that's like kind of thiefy, like
Well,
someone that can work with the or might even know of like the thieves guilds or whatever.
well, you know that. I mean, you talk to a guy that you're pretty sure is this world's version of a used car salesman. He was giving off Joe Pesci vibes.
That's true.
Yeah.
Riley also mentions that Winston, the one that the butler of the estate, he's the butler of the estate for a reason. And
He might have a good knowledge base for the more of the nobles too.
he's got knowledge base. He's got some knowledge base for nobles. Follow Maldane. Maldane could be good as well. Any one of the merchants, if you recall the 3, not merchants, the 3 crafters, like they all have different knowledge sets and interactions as far as people go and characters go and their history. He also states that, like, you guys have the rest of the day. It's only 3 o'clock. You can go
Right.
talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, just make sure to let me know, and I will assign them to you once you find out who. I'll be here for the next day. You'll see. He's like, you'll see me around. I.e., like, you just can say, we tell Riley whatever, we ask Riley wherever. You will see him quite a bit off and on as you guys are doing stuff for the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Okay.
I am gonna move you guys back to here though, just so you can see the map and actually kind of walk yourselves through all the people that you've met. Some of them are on the map, some of them are not. Also, one of the reasons I left the map open so you could see the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
As
I
a
think-
reminder, you saw the stable master and his daughter. Keep in mind, his daughter looked like she's seen shit.
Mhm.
There are the 3 merchants. There was the bow smith, the gnome who looked a little cantankerous. There was the half orc blacksmith beauty that looked more beauty than half orc. Snoo Snoo. There is the Kadiran. I think it was Kadiran. Leathersmith. Catapeshian leathersmith. Leather worker who is from Catapesh. There is Jay, who is he runs the whole mercantile building, who is kind of the, for lack of a better term, the used car salesman, the Joe Pesci.
Mm-hmm.
You briefly saw Andalek, who is one of the trainers at the facility. So there's Andalek, who is a trainer at the facility, and Lieutenant Malachi, who is kind of the guy who runs the group. So there's like, one of them is in charge of the facility and the training. The other one is in charge of the guys who actually go out and do the work, is Lieutenant Malachi. One of the other higher people that you haven't met, but is a guy named Brandt, who works for the organization and is loyal to Riley and does odd jobs within the military and has a ranking position of whatever the fuck. Everybody listens to him.
Mm-hmm.
You also have Winston, who is the butler, the head butler. You also have, I don't know if I mentioned Father Muldain, who you saw earlier, who is there. And there may be others that you may have met, but you would have to mention and plead your case and maybe have to roleplay to get them to come along.
Okay.
You know, kind of that, like, sometimes players are creative and
Mhm.
throw me for a loop, and I recognize that, and I will give that option. Sandra and her cohort are not on the list.
Yeah.
You cannot convince me that those two can go.
I think for me, either the used car salesman or the Chaplain Muldain.
Okay.
Because one will have the knowledge, and the other one will have cure spells in case stuff turns south.
Pragmatic. I like it.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Brian?
I was thinking the seneschal guy, as far as the knowledge nobility type of things, as far as the nobilities with in this country, is probably not a bad idea. And maybe our fast talking merchant, maybe.
Yeah.
Although we can do our own kind of fast talking too, I guess, but in that regards, we're all fairly charming and sociable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, while there are several reasons why I would love to bring the blacksmith with, some of which may be even useful for our mission, I think honestly, taking her value away from this place, I mean, while they're not under an immediate threat, that
just want to
we
remind
know
you.
of,
I just want to remind you.
yes.
Just say it. Just popping that up for you.
Oh yeah. No, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I saw. I saw that. And at any rate, where I was going with that was like, as much as I would be interested in that, at the same point, I fear their usefulness.
I'm just popping up
they
some of
may-
the pictures while you chat.
They might be needed here, maybe more than away. I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
I think like whatever you think would be best to help us. Don't think too crazy hard. Just
I
go
think-
with that gut feeling.
Well, I think the seneschal guy, as far as will help us get through the certain doors in terms of at least learning more about the nobility as we need it. So being to help us navigate that a little bit or prepare ourselves for when we do talk to these nobles.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good idea. Past that, I think I honestly don't know.
So you're gonna pick Winston for yourself, probably, because each of you get to pick one for you. Like, which character are you taking personally? Because again, whichever
Well,
one you pick is the one that I'm giving you the character sheet to. I'll still do a lot of the role playing with the character, but if whatever happens, you'll be doing the dice rolling with their character sheet,
Okay.
or some of the some of the decision making for them.
And who did you pick, Matt?
I was torn between the cleric and the used car salesman guy.
Yeah.
So you both are leaning towards Jay. Like, both of you have Jay on your list.
Yeah.
So I'll pick the seneschal guy.
The butler.
Sorry, the
Yeah,
butler.
seneschal is a good word. Essentially, what he is. All right. He is a player class, FYI. So you got that going
Okay.
for you.
Sweet, sweet.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Can you do the picture of the Seneschal one again? That one.
Winston.
Winston.
He has ranks in profession butler.
Nice.
Awesome.
Also, not a bad thing to have.
Right.
He classes us up. We need that.
I think I am gonna go with. You said it's Jay.
Jay, yes.
Yep.
Jay is also a player class.
Cool.
Jay. So Winston is a bard. Jay is a rogue, but he is a very specific type of rogue. He's a Talden spy.
Well, funny.
Wow, I think we picked him pretty good then. Strangely enough.
So you guys had the option. So there was a hidden option of the dog. The dog would have been the best choice. Because the dog is a 10th level ranger.
Oh, jeez.
The second best choice would have been Brand, who is a 7th level fighter. I don't have his character sheet in front of me. He's a 7th level fighter. He is a spear fighter. Because he used to be Riley's cohort. And then later, he was given a PC class of that level.
Okay.
And so I was just like, well, I'll just take him back then.
Yeah.
As a follower. Like, you get a... Because Matt does a lot of, like, you get a PC of X followers. And so a lot of these guys were in the same level range of PC followers that he was given. And a lot of them experts. All of the craftsmen are all experts. I believe they're all 5th level. I don't have them actually statted. I was going to stat them if you picked them, but I have their levels written down because they have to fit into Riley's followership. They are all NPC classes, but they are all his highest NPC classes.
Okay. Cool.
The servants, had you been like, I pick some of this, I pick the server lady that served us food or something that would have thrown me off. They are actually part of Sandra's follower list. And they also have some pretty high level NPC classes.
Okay.
So those all would have been options. Andalik is actually a rogue. He's a rogue with a longsword, the half-orc dude. He's actually a rogue. He's like a thug type rogue. Father Muldain is a cleric, obviously. And Lieutenant Malachi would have been the next under Brandt because he's an actual magus. He's a 5th level magus, which would have also been helpful. So there you go. Some of the inside, but you guys have chosen. Oh shit! I didn't choose.
You did not choose.
I would have gone with Andalek because I can't do favorites. I can't be like, oh, I as Nick know who the high level characters are. But I always liked Andalek, and I actually use him as a reference when I've run with Riley in the past. So Andalek, Father Muldain, and Brant were his original 3 followers when we first started that I had statted, because Brant was his cohort until Sandra came along. So there we go. We have those guys set aside. 2 rogues and a bard to come along with you. So yeah, we will get those to you guys.
Okay.
We don't need them now, but I will have them here if we need them before I send them out to you. If we need them at some point for the rest of the game tonight, I can reference them.
Awesome.
So you let Riley know that those are the guys you want to bring along, which is great. You end up spending time meeting and chatting with those 3. They're all excited. Winston is excited. He's basically going to be your herald. Andalek is going to take up the role of like a guard. He's just going to try and play off being a guard and looking as a guard. Unless you guys say otherwise. And Jay's going to kind of probably work with your runner. Unless, of course, you guys say otherwise. You guys get total run of them. That's just me as Nick, as the GM, throwing those options out there. That would probably be the best looking roles as far as visually goes. And as far as the nobles go, there's a lot of other shit going on. But you guys do get those options. Worst case scenario, they're there to aid another on shit.
Cool.
And yeah, they're all roughly around the same level. Actually, they are. It looks like they are all the same level. So you got that going for you. Not only is your job to have them on you, but to keep them alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, Winston is like, he's trained to be a herald. To be, entering the room is so-and-so. Like, that's his job here. The only thing that any of these characters that were to be chosen from that you would take away is their dice roll for earnings on the facility, as far as the building earnings go, which I haven't kept track of in 2 in-game years. So really, it's really just story based as far as that. Like, the goal of the facility is a lot of story. Like, I don't really need to explain that, why it's earning. I don't need to keep track of how much money they're earning over the course of the last 3 years. And I don't think I also need to explain how they do it. I think I described very well how it earns money. So yeah. Is there anything else you do? You have the rest of the day and the evening. The next day you will get a writ from Count Heggry. What is your plans?
I do have a quick question.
Yes.
So the one woman that we were talking to at the beginning of the day in this, was that Sandra's? Is that considered Sandra's
lady in waiting?
Lady in waiting. Okay.
Yeah, it's her right hand man. It is her cohort, essentially. Not essentially, it is her cohort.
And what was her name?
Or no,
again?
it's her follower. It's not her cohort. It's her highest level follower.
Gotcha.
Valina is her name.
Well, sorry, what was it?
Valina is her
Valina.
name. Yeah, the dog is technically her cohort. Valina is her highest level follower, because she also has leadership.
I might suddenly ask.
I'll have to look again. Because
I
she
will
is
try
the noble scion, so she actually technically has 2 cohorts. So I think she's the other cohort from the noble scion. I'd have to double check.
Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of subtly ask her out and find out if she's single.
She is.
Okay.
She is single. She is also very noble. as far as like she probably won't date you if you're not a noble.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean flings can't happen, but she is very, yeah, she is very much like, this is the family heraldry, this is the family line, you know, what kind of lands do you bring to the table, that kind of stuff. And right
I
now,
have land.
everybody, her
But yeah,
station as a noble, like she was a very minor noble family. Her loyalty to Sandra
Sure.
has got her where she's at. And part of, let's be honest, she never knew what was going to happen. She's been Sandra's lady in waiting since they were both children. You guys are high enough to be able to do, you know, to ask around and ask questions. And she's a high profile person, so getting information is fairly understandable. And of course, Sandra is the daughter of the city.
Right.
And that is her lady in waiting. So, her loyalty, while she didn't know where it would bring her, the suitors are probably lined up fairly long because of the reasons that you already recognize, but also the fact that her father, Lady Sandra's father, is now the Count of Versex. She is the first in line. She is marrying a very well-known hero, war hero.
Right.
Chances are, if anything happened to him, those two would become the new Count and Countess. Which means she would be one of the 5 most powerful lady-in-waitings in the county. She would be a very powerful noble if she stays with Sandra. And thus, the offerings to her are going to exceed a lot of things. Sandra isn't as noble hoity-toity as Valina is.
Gotcha.
Which is why she's marrying Riley, because he's not a noble. But neither is her father, technically. So there's kind of some of the nuances. Now, that's what the city is telling you. That's what a local is telling you. That's what a gather information is telling you. That doesn't necessarily mean that's what's true.
Fair enough.
And I'm saying that for a reason. Like, she is single, yes, but in looking to ask the townsfolk and the city and the people around if she is single, they're like, oh dear, I'm so sorry.
Fair enough.
Oh, poor you. Stricken are you?
Well, you know, if it was easy, everybody would do it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose it's true. But yeah, anything else? Like, you guys kind of have the reins. I'm letting you guys do whatever you want here.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to the tent church.
You go to the tent. How do you get there?
I will. Give me 1 second. I will use, provided Nick's not using them, I will use the services of Quinston.
Okay. You take the carriage to the tent.
Mm-hmm.
You ride the carriage and you get about halfway and you see the city, the sprawling city streets. You see lots of guards, lots of Riley's men, out and about in the town. You see the whitewashing of the walls, because when you were in the other carriage, it's all closed off. It's an iron. This is a cart. So you get to see more of the city streets going back. Since you're higher up, you get a better vantage point. You get a better view of the city's people, what it's like. And you can see what I described to Brian as kind of the pride of the city in the work that they are doing to prepare the city. You see woodworkers are carving banisters for going in, like, where city intersections are, where it's like, you're now entering this section of the city. Here's the mercantile. They're carving like large, huge logs. They're carving intricate designs in them to put up as like on either side of the road for when you enter the merchant area, to make it look higher class. Like, the citizens are doing their best to make this city look as good as it possibly can, because they want to represent the city for the family that has kept them safe for, almost 2 generations. You see the pride in their work, and like, some bum goes by and throws, eats a chicken wing and tosses the chicken bone, and the villagers are like, hey, like, everybody's like, go pick that shit up. We're not going to have garbage in our streets. Not before this wedding. Like, you literally see that conversation. And the guy who's like half drunk is like embarrassed that he did something like that and didn't even realize, like, so like, that's the kind of feel you get in the city. And you get the gist that this isn't how it always is, but given the circumstances, that's what it's like right now. Short of the horrors that probably consume the streets in certain areas of the town at night, the city is in a pretty good mood. And from what you've heard, and from what you know, because you have your bonus die 6 that gives you extra knowledge, the city wasn't always like a good city historically. It is now, because of the work that Vanton has done and the things that have happened. It is one of the few good cities in Ustalav. Intrinsically. And they still face horrors. Like, people go into these caverns and fucking gibbering mouthers come pouring out and eat their souls or whatever. That kind of shit does happen in the city still fairly often. But otherwise... And you get to the place, you see the tent off in the distance, you see all of the soldiers that marched here coming to the tent. And they're all kind of like standing outside the tent in kind of order, like a kind of a military-ish order outside of the tent that is just there. They're not going in, there's not enough room for them. It's a small military tent, and there's far more people than can fit in there. Do you go and join them?
Yeah, and I'll just like stand back with the rank and file and see how this progresses.
Okay.
Run.
Gibbering mouthers! They all turn into monsters!
Damn it.
Each soldier is a tentacle. A single tentacle.
Oh.
On a giant Stark monster. So, eventually the priest comes out, and everybody does a 100 wizards cast magic missile at him.
Deep cut. It's
Shit.
100 students.
Students, yeah. 100 adepts. 100 students cast magic missile. Oh.
When
That's-
the pew pew is strong.
That's great. There's a throwback reference there. Anybody who wants to know this history, they'll have to come in and stream tomorrow and ask me about it. I'll tell this whole story tomorrow. As best I know, I wasn't actually there, so it's secondhand. It's a secondhand story, but it's legend. Wait for it. Wait for it. Derry. You see the priest comes out, and he welcomes them all, and he starts talking about the being reminded of a story of the trials and tribulations of Iomade, and the difference between being a mortal and being a god, but also the similarities that they need to hold on to continue being. You can't be a beacon of shining hope as a god if you couldn't do it as a mortal. And the dedication and understanding and for your chosen field is important, but also to know what your path is. And if you don't know it, to find it. And he talks about some of Iomade's teachings. Like I, as Nick, I haven't memorized all the Iomadean words and whatnot, but he looks up and he talks about the dedication of the soldiers who spent the time walking across the city, and how daily they make this trek. And the humble beginnings of a single soldier can make the difference in a tide against a tyrant and a god. And that kind of dedication, as small as it seems at the beginning of your life, in the middle of your life, and at the end of your life, can transcend to great things when it really comes to matter. And he asks everybody to think those thoughts over, to think those words over. And that's the, it's a long sermon, it's like a half-hour long sermon. Every single soldier stays there, standing in place in full armor during the sermon. They don't move. They don't really budge, other than like any kind of like directed homages. There is a time where they're all asked to. There's a time they're not asked to. They say, let us all give prayer. And a majority of them pull their swords out in front of them, and their swords, their spears, their whatever, and they hold it out with a stiff, straight arm in front of them. Anyone who has a sword, they have it pointed down. Anyone who has a spear, they have it sideways. But they hold it with their, whatever their good arm is. They hold whatever weapon is their trained weapon in front of them. And then they kind of recite this prayer or speech. And not all of them do it. Some of them just pray the speech, or some of them just bow their heads with their hands clasped. And that's kind of the only real motion that they do. Otherwise, they stand pretty stoic. Every once in a while, like, they'll clasp their hand on their chest or some sort of other salute. But for the most part, it's standing there in their armor as this wet fog rolls into town. And it's kind of gross, and it puts a chill over anyone wearing armor. But they stand there during this entire time steadfast, after working their shift and after the 10-mile hike or the 5-mile hike or however far it is from the capital to here. And that's kind of what the moist fog. Yes, Rolana Halo, the moist fog. What do you do after the service?
did Quinston go back?
No, Quinston was waiting for you.
Okay. I think I'm just gonna go back to
Okay.
where we're staying.
Okay. How do you get back?
I'm gonna go back with Quinston.
Okay. Sounds good. Do you ask him to stop anywhere along the way?
Let's see. Give me 1 second. No, I don't think so, as I don't have enough funds to acquire us an oh shit teleport scroll. I think I'm just gonna go back and like spend the night, really just like getting ready for tomorrow.
Okay.
And then I want to reach out to one of like someone, I don't know if like one of the guards or one of the whatever. But I want to make sure that I'm up early enough that I can walk down with the rest of the soldiers for the sermon tomorrow morning.
Okay. Sounds good. What about you, Brian? What would you like to do that evening?
I mean, I think we're kind of getting prepped for what's ahead, and admittedly, we don't necessarily know all that we have coming ahead here, other than what we're planning to do. But
Correct.
I might actually.
And you do know you have access to Riley throughout the entirety of the evening, if you need him for anything, as well as all of the other NPCs you ran across, except for Sandra and her cohort.
Actually, I will
cohorts.
look. I'm actually gonna look for Valena, but not necessarily for the express purpose of hitting on her, but actually ask her if she had some suggested ideas or thoughts about like ensembles to impress her.
You could ask Riley to send her a message, but again, Sandra and her entourage are not available,
Oh, okay.
as I said.
Yeah, I guess I'd maybe do that, and then otherwise,
What would you like your letter to say? Writing a love letter to Valena.
no, it's not a love letter.
But it
This
could
is
be.
More, this is
But it could be. It could be the start of it. It could be a flirtation letter.
well, I mean,
And it probably is, because you're asking her about fashion.
the flirtation is implied. Yes.
Hey, bae. Sup, gorgeous. I know you're no
Apparently River has
blacksmith,
something
but I
to
don't
say.
need snoo snoo. Here she is again. Just so you can feel inspired.
There you go. No, I think honestly, I think with everything going on, I would probably keep it relatively business perfunctory here, but
Okay.
asking what would be some good ensemble choices that we can hopefully pick up or have maybe made along the way, that what would be some good ensemble choices in dealing with these nobility that we'll be dealing with, or what have you, or if there are any suggestions you would have. And then I'll probably put it like, P.S. Blue's my favorite color, or whatever, something.
All right. Gotta pull up a particular map here for myself, because I have a full on. Oh no. There we go. Because I don't have the book with it, so I have to do this. All right. Making sure, because I was pretty sure. So she does send you a letter back, or send you a message back. And you get it in the form of one of the servants that works here during the day, but isn't here at evening, delivers it. She tells you that there is I think that's it. I could be wrong. But off the top of my head, I'm fairly certain a building called the Majesty.
Okay.
That has a tailor that lives there. And she says, deliver the enclosed feathers, collection of feathers, as a payment for 3 outfits to wear to meet the nobility. Do not lose these feathers. Do not let anything happen to them.
Okay.
That should get you suited decently. She says that should get you suited decently, by someone who is not me.
Okay.
Roll your diplomacy.
My diplomacy. Oh no. Well, 17.
Okay. 17's still good. You don't auto fail on skill checks.
Thank goodness.
So, make sure to write that down in that location. I will forget it, so you'll have to remind me when you guys get there.
Can you show us the city map again?
The city of...
Because you mentioned
This isn't here in town. This is in Califas, when you get to Califas.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, not in the town here. Not in Carrion Hill. This will be when you get to Califas, the capital city.
Okay, my apologies. I didn't write it down then, because thought it was on the map for Carrion Hill. My apologies.
It is not.
What was the name of the shop again?
I believe it's called the Majesty, but I might be wrong. We're going to say it is for now.
Okay.
And I can get back later.
Okay. I'll let Nick and Matt know about that.
But yeah, they have... Yep, that is the place.
Okay.
Yep. So there's a tailor that works there. The Majesty is a hotel. It is very expensive, and it's where all the nobles stay. I can't believe I remembered it.
Go you.
So
Okay, I got
they
it.
are the in-house tailor for the hotel. So whenever the nobility stay at the hotel, that is, if they didn't bring their own tailor, they can use the in-house tailor to do their stuff. Like the hotel hires a tailor for nobles on staff 24/7. And there's a lot more fun where that comes from. And she says if you stay there, do not, she in the note it says if you stay there, do not ask about room 404.
Because it cannot be found.
Oh, somebody got the new piece of armor. I just saw it pop up. I saw the picture. Somebody just got the new chest piece. I can't see what it is, but somebody got the new chest piece. Congratulations, whoever it was in the Tangia dungeon. You got the new a piece of the new loot finder armor.
Is it the dragon armor?
Yeah. Was it you?
It was.
Nice. Congratulations.
Nice.
There's a whole new suit of armor for people that are playing the Tangia dungeon. There's a whole new suit of epic armor, and it is designed for you to be able to get better loot. You might not survive wearing it, but if you do... So, the night comes. You all sleep. Brian, make a will save.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's a fortitude save.
Fortitude? Okay, 11. Is it versus Sonic?
No.
Okay. 14. For fortitude.
Okay. So you wake up and you're feeling quite refreshed the next morning, being the fact that you spent the entire day yesterday traveling here from Biston's Pond. You don't remember anything that happened yesterday. Not a thing.
Okay. Man, I'm gonna have to start mementoing freaking tattoos on myself to remember this shit.
In fact, you wake up, and your tattoo that you did get, it looks way more healed than it should be. You don't remember getting, like, they didn't healing magic you. So, you know, you've got, like, it doesn't hurt. It's not as sore as it should be. It's not, yeah.
Okay. I'll look around and then I kind of look up to the heavens and be like, so I get it that I'm sort of like you're the person of interest for you, but like, do we have to go on a bender every damn night?
Oh, you don't know that you forgot. You don't know that you forgot. You didn't go drinking that night.
Well, but the last I remember I was in Biston's Pond and now I'm here at some place I don't remember.
No. You remember coming here and you remember getting the room. You remember getting the tour.
Oh, okay.
Because that was the previous day, and then you went to sleep.
I see. Okay, never mind then.
Yeah. The last, like, the meeting with Sandra, you remember, but anything with Sandra's aid never happened. Your time flying around the town and the city and almost falling to your death, that never happened. The meeting with the father, that never happened. Your letter to her, the noble, all the stuff you just did, you don't remember any of that. Meeting with Riley, you never saw Riley. In fact, you never saw Riley. As far as you know, today is the day that you're going to try and figure out, okay, what nobles do you need to meet with? Who do you need to go to? You'll probably meet maybe with Sandy or with Sandra again to try and figure out what the actual plan is. You're not quite sure.
Okay.
Matt, you wake up
Yes.
before the butt crack of dawn, and you get ready and you walk with the soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a fortitude save or anything. You're walking a few miles. You guys walked to Carrion Hill from Corvosa. Walking to the tent's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Other than the fact that it's inconvenient and a little irritating. But taking the walk with the soldiers and hearing them in their non-magical armor reminds you of the struggle of just being normal and the devotion that they have just being normal. Just some of them not even being more than not being fighters, but just being like NPC class warriors, or even just people that want to be NPC class warriors. The struggle of being poor. Yeah, the struggle of being poor. Being people that like, they're still training. Some of these guys, they don't have armor proficiency. This walk is them training to get their armor proficiency across town. The in sync footsteps, whether they realize they're doing it or not, their march from the compound all the way down past Rootman's Vat, past the Lady of the Dawn, down Elm Way, and out to the little tent that is actually shown on the map underneath Elm Way. That little tiny dot down there. Bottom left. Here, I can ping it. Right here's the church. The tent, if you will. Okay, it's not there, but it's right by that area. Because now that I realize the scope of the map, it actually wouldn't even be show on this map, the size.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in here somewhere. I too get confused by the size, by the way it's drawn. And you feel a soldier's camaraderie with these people that some of them you have like talked to and chatted with the last couple days, hung out with, practiced with, learned swords with. And you notice that all of them roll a perception check, actually.
$34.
You see belts and sheaths. Now, it's not that you see this with all of them, but you only notice this on the ones that you see. Maybe it's the angle at which you're looking at them. Maybe it's just what you see. Maybe it's your recollection of you saw one a little bit ago and it popped in your mind. But your brain registers. And again, not that this is actually what it is, but this is kind of just what you notice. As you're thinking about it, because you're thinking about the priest's words, right? What did he say to you? What did he say in the preaching yesterday? Part of the reason you're taking this walk today. And you realize all of them are only carrying a single weapon. And of course you think about it and you're like, well, that can't be. and after, another 10 minutes on your hike, of course, like, yeah, that guy's got 2 daggers and that guy's got a sword and, that guy's got a crossbow. Like, they don't all just have one. But in that moment of weird clarity, like, whatever their main weapon is what you really kind of just saw as you were having this moment of camaraderie.
Okay.
When you arrive at the church, and the priest is already out there. He's chatting with people and meeting with them. You realize that there is food, and it's mostly just bread and hardtack, but it is food. Straight water, nothing fancy, nothing special. It's what a soldier would have on a field of battle. It's what a soldier would have when they're marching. And they are all grateful, and they all take a piece. Enough where they wouldn't, enough to keep them going, but not too much that there wouldn't be enough for all the soldiers in a platoon.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
I will go up, grab some bread, grab a little bit of the hardtack, and just kind of follow
Suit.
what they are doing. They know this morning ritual far more than I.
The priest starts off talking about the world wound, and he says, many of you have never been to the world wound. Many of you have never seen the horrors of demons and their spawn and their ilk. Many of you have not seen the corruption of the land and the surroundings. Today, we bring you the food of a soldier. Whatever is at hand, whatever we can get, whatever little rations there are. But be thankful. I forget what her nickname is.
The Inheritor?
Yeah, the Inheritor. It is the Inheritor. Be thankful to the Inheritor. I was going to say Inheritor, and I was like, or was that Aradin? Be thankful to the Inheritor. Because in the days of the world wound, sometimes when we took a bite into our food, it would turn to ash from the corruption. You will not always have the delightful sustenance of hardtack and bread and water, and you must suffer and sustain for the good of the world, for the strength of the world. While the world wound is closed, there are still many places that are corrupted. But don't allow the corruptness to be within your hearts. And he continues on in the preaching of Iomade and stuff. Utilizing the food to be part of the teachings of the day, as part of a soldier, as part of a good being, as part of the good fight, and putting other people before yourself sort of situation. And again, you see there are moments where they all stand still. They carry the weight of their armor after having hiked that many miles. Like, yes, you have armor proficiency. Imagine if you hadn't. Yes, your armor is magical beyond anything else anyone here has. Imagine if it wasn't. Standing here, the strength that some of these kids, even 15-year-olds wearing armor that doesn't fit them, hoping to grow into it in their armor training, and they're standing here at the butt-ass crack of dawn means something more to you than you ever thought it would have. Again, some of them do this ritualistic thing with whatever weapon they happen to have. They say some prayers. They do some hand gestures, a hand over their chest, a salute, whatever it is from their nation, from their place, and off and on throughout the ritual or throughout the church service. And then the church service ends. They all are thankful. Some of them stop and like commune and chat with each other, shake each other's hands, talk about the workday, stuff like that. Is there anything that you choose to do?
I think I'm just gonna go to Chaplain Muldoon and just thank him for his time. And just let him know that I will, think on his words, and hopefully when I am back in town next, we can have another discussion about them.
He puts his hand on your shoulder and he says, "Don't so much think of my words, but think of your answer."
And I'll put my hand on his shoulder and go, "Without your words, there's no reason to think on an answer."
It's not my words.
But you were the one that spoke them to me.
If you would have never seen me, you still would need the answer. And I guess that you would find it. Eventually. Of course, without the answer, or without knowing the question, I suppose you wouldn't know to find the answer. Do you remember what the question is?
Yes, what is my weapon?
He nods. Do you know the answer?
I know what my weapon is.
And what is it?
It is everything that makes up me. My heart, my brain, my faith, my steadfastness. And I'll point to the sword at his side and be like, "You learn to wield the weight of the sword. But without your heart to guide it, it's worthless. Your sword has strength, but without your heart in it, there is no guiding force. If you lose your sword, you lost a tool. But if you betray your heart, you betray your faith, your mind, everything that makes it up, you are dead for what you believed you were."
All of that is true. You're absolutely correct. 110%. But that answer does not help you with showing your deific obedience and the things you must do in order to show that physically. For an Abadarian, I once met an Abadarian who spent an hour counting coins. That has nothing to do with the teachings of Abadar. There is more to it to an Abadarian. Intrinsically. But it's what you do, what Iomade may want for one of the three sects of her obedience, to show it repeatedly, daily, isn't done with speeches or with theologic meanings of what your heart and courage can do, but with physical items and physical showings of devotion. There's a lot of intrinsic meaning into many of the religions, but sometimes, especially with a warrior goddess, you just have to cut a demon's head off.
I smile at him and go, "Ah, you're right, Father. My mistake. I should have found a paladin." And I leave. Because, like, I'll stop and go, "That was probably a little harsh, but my code as a paladin has many tenets in its virtue.
I'm not saying you turn away from your tenets.
I'm saying, though, without my heart, none of it matters. A sword is simply a tool. I can pick up a rock and beat a demon's head in if needed. I can use my fists if so need. The sword, while having meaning, is just a tool for me to use in the righteous fight."
He goes, and that's why many paladins cannot follow the deific obedience, because they cannot follow both. And he shrugs.
Yes.
And there are many people who follow the deific obediences who cannot become paladins.
That is true. That is very, very true.
And I myself am not of the deific obedience. However, I know of it. And I know Iomade has sent people to me to find it. But I can only tell what I know. And maybe it is a paladin you need to find.
Perhaps.
But I'm not telling you to not believe in your heart. I'm told you
you're
everything
asking
you
me
just...
what my weapon is.
I did. And
Naturally.
that's a clue to move you forward into what the deific obedience might be. But until you accept what your actual physical main weapon you wield is, he says very sternly, which isn't your heart unless you pull it out of your goddamn chest and beat someone to death with it. Because she is a warrior goddess as well. And you need to be able to balance your paladinhood with whatever your deific obedience may end up being.
Yes, and there is prayer. And prayer is important.
It
And
is.
so is holding any weapon in front of me.
He goes,
It is
not
a-
any.
It is my primary, which for me is, well, the first one I learned to use is my fists. I must head to Caliphas.
Dangerous city.
I hear it is laden with vampires. Is there any places of refuge that you may know of in the city for the Inheritor's followers?
Iomade has many followers. I, as Nick, believe there is a small temple to Iomade in Caliphas, but I'd have to double check. If there is, he would tell you that.
Awesome. I will write that down as if there is, I know the location of blah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chaplain.
Best of luck.
Yes, I am. I've heard stories of vampires. I do not believe in this lifetime I have faced one, and I am.
Nice, in this
Concerned.
lifetime. Nice.
And I am definitely concerned. And I will start heading back with whoever is heading back into town.
Okay. Sounds good. With that being said, we will be done with our
Chat
campaign.
wants someone to draw a fame and fortune card.
Oh, I was waiting.
At the last minute. At the very last minute. All right. Are you ready for this?
1 second. I gotta add my note in. And then I will be. Copy, come on, thing. Okay, I am now ready. Is this
All
where
right.
you're flipping? And then I'm okay.
Yep. So just tell me when to stop flipping.
Stop.
All right. Do you want the bottom of the small pile or the top of the big pile?
The top of the big pile.
All right, here we go. All righty. So you get a new spell
Okay.
that you can do once a day. Oh no, you can do it at will. You can do it at will. This will be this will be equivalent to a paladin's detect good or detect
Okay.
evil.
Okay.
It's called detect treasure.
Oh.
You know what, for in second edition, always being on would be one thing, but I think maybe we'll just do it as like a once per day, or we'll say 3 times per day.
Okay.
Because again, this
Is
is a second edition.
Next treasure an actual spell?
I don't think so, but it will act like that. The spell can also sense a general all treasure or specific. The details of it are at my whim as the GM. It says that specifically, but when it's there and you are concentrating, you can essentially smell treasure. You are aware of the general direction of the nearest quantity of gold or gems. It operates in a straight line and does not indicate the best route. So it's kind of like detect, but it's like, the biggest treasure, of 500 plus gold value, and I'm like, okay, it's that direction. You don't know how far away it is. You don't know how far away it is. You don't know what things are in the way, but it is the closest of that, whatever your description is.
Cool.
So it could be like a cat's favorite toy. I will say it's going to be based on what you consider treasure.
Okay. That works.
But it's like actual physical, like gold and gems type treasure. So like a magical item, if its mundane gold value is 500 gold, but the magical gold is 10,000, we're going to go off of the mundane gold value.
Yep.
So it'll be physical actual value of the item, not including like if it's magical. Because it specifically says gold and gems, but,
Mm-hmm.
you know, art pieces, that kind of stuff. And of course, if the sword is made out of it.
Yeah. And you said it's 500 gold pieces or more?
No, you get to you as the player get to distinguish that. So, for instance, if you're like, if one of these nobles is like, I need the gold key to my ancestor's chamber, you could be like, how much is it worth? And you could try and maybe snuff out a gold key.
Cool.
You couldn't detail gold key, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, it can be. The treasure sense can be as general, all treasure, or specific, certain type of specific coins or gems, and so on. It is still to my whim, though, so I can adjust that if needed.
Cool. And you said 3 times per day?
Yes, we'll say 3 times per day.
I am going to have to figure out how to add that to Hero Lab.
You could just add it as a
Custom
note,
spell.
as a character note or something. You could make up a spell, too. Just build, design spell.
Yeah, I'm going to have to figure that out. That's a pain in the butt. Thank you.
So no
Seven.
using it to find the friends you made along the way. No. Nope. No using it to find the friends you made along the way. I will also make sure to get you guys the... I think I'm seeing you guys or somebody adjacent to you guys this weekend. So I'll just hand you the physical copies
Cool.
of these NPCs so that you can have them. And then I don't have to worry about photocopying and pictures or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, everyone. If you've been here throughout the entire day, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. We'll be back tomorrow with more Palia. About noon central is the time. With that being said, we will be back again, as I mentioned in our Discord server. The RPGs are kind of... I want to shift in at some point the Biston's Pond campaign series. I know that the Fight in a Box guys kind of want to try and do a more regular one-shot series of one-shots for Mechanical Corners. So I'm not going to predetermine and let you know, like, this is what RPG is coming up in the oncoming weeks. So you're just going to have to kind of bear with us. And we'll know, within a day or two in advance what RPGs we are. But every Wednesday night will still be RPGs. It's just up in the air what it's going to be, what the schedule is going to be, stuff like that, as we try and figure out what other games I want to fit in, how I want to fit them in, and all of that kind of stuff. So bear with us through all of that. I appreciate all of you for being here. We're going to raid on out to an author, a game designer, RPGer. The Arvin Elleron is... currently streaming some Dungeons and Dragons, so we're going to raid on over to there and show them some love. So thank you guys so much for being here. Take care, you all. Good night, and we will see you down the road.